Chapter 439. The mystery behind the southern mountain range today is the Phantom Sect. Steward Ma said with a serious expression. Murong Yu frowned. The Phantom Sect has been destroyed for so many years. Could it be that there are still experts in the southern mountain range? But that shouldn't be the case. If the Phantom Sect still has people, the other sects wouldn't have let them live. The Phantom Sect has indeed been destroyed. Even the Phantom Immortal Emperor who escaped that day was rumored to have been killed. Moreover, there are no other sects in the southern mountain range. Since the Phantom Sect doesn't have people, does the southern mountain range have anything to do with them? Murong Yu frowned as he looked at Steward Ma. Remnant souls causing mischief. Steward Ma said with a serious expression. Remnant souls causing mischief? Murong Yu didn't understand. Every living thing had a soul. Murong Yu knew this. Back then, he had a soul-summoning banner and killed countless people until they cried like ghosts and howled like wolves. However, a person's death was like an extinguished lamp. Could it be that a person's soul would remain after they died? At this moment, Murong Yu suddenly thought of the undead. The living dead didn't have souls. They only had simple consciousness and a well-preserved body. At the same time, they preserved their powerful strength. Actually, it's more appropriate to call them vengeful spirits. Steward Ma said slowly. Ever since the Phantom Sect was destroyed, the southern mountain range became a forbidden area. The reason for this is the vengeful spirits of the Phantom Sect. There are really vengeful spirits in this world? Murong Yu was surprised. There was a saying in the secular world that people would become ghosts after they died. For cultivators like Murong Yu, they knew that there were no ghosts in this world. And the ghosts in the secular world should be referring to the souls of people. However, generally speaking, the soul couldn't leave the body and survive on its own. The two were dependent on each other. However, this was for ordinary people. For some powerful experts, their souls were extremely powerful. After they were killed, their souls wouldn't dissipate. Instead, they would continue to live in the world. These were called remnant souls. However, these remnant souls were different from ordinary souls. These remnant souls did not have a complete consciousness. They only had instincts from when they were alive. Among the remnant souls, there was another kind of existence, and that was the vengeful soul. The so-called vengeful spirit was actually a type of remnant soul. The reason why it turned into a vengeful spirit was because the deceased had been killed for some reason, resulting in a huge amount of resentment. After death, the consciousness would not dissipate, and the desire for revenge would become stronger and stronger, eventually turning into a vengeful spirit. The strength of this kind of vengeful spirit would increase with the intensity of the remnant spirit's thought. It was also related to the strength of the spirit itself. The reason why the southern mountain range is like this is because of the vengeful spirits of the Phantom Sect's experts. They can even kill immortal kings and immortal monarchs. These vengeful spirits are at least immortal emperor-level existences. Murong Yu's face was filled with shock. Ever since the Phantom Sect was destroyed, many vengeful spirits have appeared in the southern mountain range. However, as time passed, these vengeful spirits gradually dissipated. However, some vengeful spirits survived, and as time passed, they became stronger and stronger. Now, there shouldn't be many vengeful spirits in the southern mountain range, but their strength is extremely terrifying. Even immortal monarchs are unwilling to enter the southern mountain range. If entering the southern mountain range is really caused by vengeful spirits, and those vengeful spirits are so powerful, it can explain why immortal kings and above were killed after entering. Vengeful spirits that even immortal emperors did not dare to come into contact with. Immortal kings and immortal monarchs were completely unable to withstand a single blow. Moreover, because of the destruction of the Phantom Sect, the vengeful spirits of the Phantom Sect were extremely resentful. As long as an expert entered the southern mountain range, they would attack. As for why they did not attack immortals below the Immortal King level, it should not be difficult to explain, because those vengeful spirits were extremely powerful, and experts below the immortal king level were not strong enough to trigger the vengeful spirit's hatred. Palace Master, this is all news that I heard. I'm afraid you can't take it seriously. I hope you don't take it seriously and just treat it as a story, Steward Ma said with a serious expression. Steward Ma, this information of yours is really too useful. Moreover, it's free. The Heavenly Punisher Palace is really too deceitful. When he thought about how the information he spent 5,000 points to buy was basically useless, Murong Yu was furious. However, Murong Yu obtained a large amount of useful information from Steward Ma. Even if only 10 or 20% of this information was true, it would still explain the doubts in Murong Yu's heart. Palace Master, you used your points to exchange for information of the Heavenly Punisher Palace? Steward Ma frowned slightly. 5,000 points to buy information of the southern mountain range, but it's useless, Murong Yu said with gritted teeth. Palace Master, I'm an immortal king after all. Back then, I also wandered outside and lived for a period of time. I still have some understanding of some secrets of the immortal world. If you have any questions in the future, you can ask me directly. Using points to exchange for information of the Heavenly Punisher Palace is really not worth it. Murong Yu nodded and agreed with Steward Ma's words. After this lesson, Murong Yu would not easily use his points to exchange for information of the Heavenly Punisher Palace, unless he had no other choice. Palace Master, is there anything else this old servant can help you with? Steward Ma was very happy to have answered one of Murong Yu's doubts. There's nothing else for the time being. You can go and do your work. If I have any questions in the future, I'll ask you for advice. It's this old servant's duty to help the Palace Master. In that case, this old servant will go and do his work. Steward Ma bowed slightly to Murong Yu and then left. Murong Yu returned to his room and sat cross-legged, thinking about the southern mountain range and the primal chaos Shenzhen. If Steward Ma's words are true, and the resentful spirits of the southern mountain range are really that powerful, it'll be troublesome. Immortal Emperor, that's the peak existence of the immortal world. Murong Yu frowned slightly. However, the immortal spiritual energy in the southern mountain range is extremely rich. With the environment of the southern mountain range, it'll be absolutely safe if I build the Shenzhen there. Even the Immortal Palace can't deal with the Shenzhen. The immortal kings of the Immortal Palace did not dare to enter the southern mountain range. Even if the immortals of the Nine Heavens Xian immortal realm could enter the southern mountain range, Murong Yu was not afraid. After all, he now had a large number of immortal expansion pills and immortal meridians. He could raise the Shenzhen disciple to the Nine Heavens Xian immortal realm in a short time. In this way, Murong Yu was naturally not afraid of these super forces. Moreover, under normal circumstances, no one would enter the southern mountain range. Even if Murong Yu built the Shenzhen there, it would not be discovered in a short time. It would be safe for a short time. Moreover, even if it was discovered in the future, it would not be a big deal. With Murong Yu's cultivation speed, he would not be afraid of the Immortal Palace, Devil Sect, and other giants in the near future. Let's build the Shenzhen in the southern mountain range. After pondering for a long time, Murong Yu gritted his teeth and finally decided to build the immortal world Shenzhen in the southern mountain range. The last task is to investigate the mysterious disappearance of the Palace Master of the Feng State Branch and reorganize the Feng State Branch. With my current strength, even if I investigate, I will not be able to find anything. I might as well put it aside for now and build the immortal world Shenzhen first. After deciding to build the Shenzhen in the southern mountain range, Murong Yu was somewhat anxious. After all, the disciples of the Shenzhen could not improve their strength at all if they cultivated in the cultivation world. The sooner they were brought to the immortal world, the stronger they would be. With a flash, Murong Yu entered the Hichu Luoshu world. When he reappeared, he was already in the Huaxia cultivation world, Shenzhen. Not long ago, before Murong Yu accepted the acknowledgement of the Huaxia cultivation world's origin, he had some understanding of the Huaxia cultivation world's development in the past few years. He also had some understanding of the Shenzhen. Therefore, when he returned to the Shenzhen, he went directly to the sacred palace. At this time, the sacred palace was empty. There was no one in the Shenzhen. Murong Yu's return was not discovered by anyone in the Shenzhen. Li Ling, young man, Duanmu Qing, come to the sacred palace quickly. Murong Yu immediately shouted after entering the sacred palace. Li Ling, young man, Duanmu Qing, and the others were all in the Shenzhen. This was because they had already reached the celestial immortal realm and had traveled all over the Huaxia cultivation world in the past few years. Therefore, they no longer had any interest in traveling the cultivation world. All they did was meditate and cultivate in the Shenzhen. Suddenly, a familiar voice rang in their ears while they were cultivating or doing other things. Who dares to call the Holy Master by his name? Hearing this shout, all the disciples in the Shenzhen were shocked. The Holy Master of the Shenzhen cultivation world was definitely a supreme existence. Generally, no one dared to call him by his name. Moreover, this person not only called the Holy Master by his name, but also the other elders and protectors. He even ordered them to gather in the sacred palace. Who on earth is this person? For a moment, the entire Shenzhen was in an uproar. However, compared to these puzzled disciples, those who had been called by Murong Yu, such as Li Ling, Duanmu Qing, and the others, trembled. Then, their faces were filled with shock, astonishment, and surprise. The Holy Master is back! Duanmu Qing and the others were overjoyed. Their bodies flashed and disappeared on the spot. When they reappeared, they had teleported into the sacred palace. This was the cultivation world. As long as one reached the tribulation stage, they could teleport. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Figures appeared in the sacred palace almost at the same time. These people were none other than Li Ling and the others. When they saw Murong Yu sitting on the seat of the sacred hall's master, they immediately became excited. It really is the Holy Master. The Holy Master has really returned from the immortal realm. The Holy Master is fine. Moreover, his realm is much higher than ours. He is really powerful. Duanmu Qing and the others were extremely excited, but they did not forget to size up Murong Yu. Chapter 440. Many of the people present had used the Realm Break Pill and Immortal Ascension Pill to reach the Sky Immortal Realm. Therefore, their realms in the cultivation world were much higher than Murong Yu's. Murong Yu had not ascended for a long time, only a few years. However, at this moment, Murong Yu's strength was much higher than theirs. Just his realm alone was higher than theirs by a large realm. His true strength was incomparable. Although everyone knew that Murong Yu's cultivation speed had always been so abnormal that they could not catch up. If Murong Yu had not ascended to the immortal realm, he would not have been able to improve so quickly. In other words, Murong Yu's current strength was largely due to his ascension to the immortal realm. Of course, this was what everyone thought. However, they did not know that even if Murong Yu had not ascended to the immortal realm, he would have been able to achieve his current achievements quickly. This was because he did not rely on immortal spiritual energy to cultivate, but the chaotic energy. As long as the Tree of Life existed, Murong Yu would not lack the chaotic energy and his strength would continue to increase. Sacred Master, did you come back this time to prepare for us to ascend to the immortal realm? Duanmu Qing was the first to ask after recovering from his shock. Murong Yu looked around at everyone and saw that Shenzhen and the rest were all present. Hence, he nodded and smiled. That's great, can we finally ascend? Duanmu Qing cheered. At the same time, the others were also very excited. As cultivators, what they pursued was greater strength and a longer lifespan. However, although they were already in the Sky Immortal Realm, they had been trapped in the cultivation world and could not increase their strength at all. If they wanted to become stronger, they had to go to the immortal realm. However, before Morong Yu ascended to the immortal realm, he told them not to ascend for the time being. Hence, although they wanted to ascend to the immortal realm, they kept Morong Yu's words in mind and did not ascend. Of course, other than Shenzhen, there were some immortals from the Hidden Fairy Valley and the Mystic Moon sect who ascended. They didn't have much of a relationship with Morong Yu, so even if they ascended to the immortal world, it didn't matter. However, Li Su, the little ape king, and the others who were familiar with Morong Yu did not ascend. Although they had never been to the immortal world, they could imagine how dangerous it was. Moreover, he knew that Morong Yu would return to the cultivation world soon. Therefore, they also planned to let Morong Yu go to the immortal world to scout for information before making a decision. Holy Lord, have you killed all the enemies in the immortal world? At this moment, a weak voice sounded. It was Mu Lanchen. Hearing this, Morong Yu couldn't help laughing. His enemies were at the level of the Immortal Palace and the Devil's Doctrine. With his current ability, he couldn't even touch the ordinary disciples of the Immortal Palace, let alone destroy them. Morong Yu laughed. I really did destroy the Black Civ sect. Uprooted. Haha, I knew that the Holy Lord is invincible. Zhang Ao laughed loudly. The others also had excited looks on their faces. Morong Yu was a little speechless when he saw the excitement on everyone's faces. Did these guys really think he was invincible? Perhaps he was invincible in the cultivation world, but in the immortal world, he was just a small shrimp. He continued, the Black Civ sect was just a small sect. There are many strong cultivators in the immortal world, and the number of powerful sects are like the grains of sand in the Ganges River. I'm just an exalted immortal. Being able to destroy the Black Civ sect was a stroke of luck. The smiles on everyone's faces instantly froze. Holy Lord, is the immortal world really as powerful and ferocious as you say? Sima Ryu frowned. In the immortal world, even the most remote province is larger than the entire cultivation world of Huaxia. The immortal world has millions of provinces. Think about it. Everyone's faces were filled with shock. In their minds, the immortal world they had imagined was large enough, but they didn't think it would be this large. The entire cultivation world of Huaxia wasn't even as large as the most remote province in the immortal world. And the cultivation world of Huaxia already had hundreds of millions of sects. What more the immortal world? It was hard to imagine how large the immortal world was, and how many powerful sects there were. And if the cultivation world of Huaxia was so cruel, then the immortal world must be even more terrifying. But although the immortal world was large, and there were many strong cultivators, there were also many opportunities. Morong Yu sat on the main seat, calmly looking at everyone. He couldn't help but nod as he watched their faces turn from shock to yearning. The immortal world was indeed cruel, but it was more suitable for the strong to survive. Survival of the fittest. In the face of an even more cruel world, only by not fearing difficulties and facing them head-on could one achieve greater success. Holy Lord, when will we ascend? I can't wait to ascend to the immortal realm. Li Ling stepped forward and looked at Morong Yu with excitement. Although this guy had been the Holy Lord of Shenzhen for a long time, his personality hadn't changed. They can ascend, but you can't for the time being. Morong Yu suddenly said as he looked at Li Ling. Why? Li Ling was depressed, and the excitement in his heart was instantly extinguished. If you want to ascend, you must first nurture the next Holy Lord. If the next Holy Lord doesn't appear, you can forget about ascending. Morong Yu said calmly. Li Ling complained in his heart. He had only been the Holy Lord for a few years. How could he have the time to nurture the next Holy Lord? And although Shenzhen developed quickly, it hadn't been long since it was established. Li Ling hadn't even considered nurturing the next Holy Lord. Glancing at everyone, Morong Yu continued, other than Li Ling, this time, Shenzhen can only have a portion of immortals who have reached the sky immortal realm. because I haven't established a sect in the immortal world. The first batch of ascenders, I will lead you to the immortal world. First, we will establish Shengzhen's sect in the immortal world. Then, we will accept Shengzhen's disciples. This was something that Murong Yu had long considered. Zhang Ao, young man, Duanmu Qing, go and prepare. In a few days, I will bring a portion of you to the immortal world. Murong Yu roughly explained the situation in the immortal world and the matter of establishing a sect, then let them go and prepare. Holy Lord, Uncle, can I ascend to the immortal world? In the sacred palace, only Murong Yu and Li Ling were left. You can. Li Ling was overjoyed, but soon he became depressed again. He heard Murong Yu say, as long as the next Holy Lord ascends, you can ascend to the immortal world. Don't try to fool me. If I find out that you casually found someone to be the Holy Lord, I will make sure that you can never ascend to the immortal world. Li Ling was depressed. Just now, such a thought had indeed crossed his mind. However, it was discovered by Murong Yu. Looking at the depressed Li Ling, Murong Yu couldn't help but smile and continue, you have already become a celestial immortal, and your lifespan is extremely long. A few more years won't make a difference. Take care of Shengzhen for me. Don't neglect me, or you can forget about ascending to the immortal world for the rest of your life. Li Ling rolled his eyes and looked at Murong Yu rather speechlessly. Uncle, if I really want to ascend, you can't stop me, right? Li Ling didn't believe that Murong Yu was so heaven-defying that he could stop him from ascending. I am the ruler of the Huaxia self-cultivation world. As long as I don't agree, no one can ascend. Murong Yu said lightly. From the moment he was recognized by the Huaxia self-cultivation world, he had completely controlled the Huaxia self-cultivation world. Not to mention stopping Li Ling from ascending, even stopping the entire Huaxia self-cultivation world from ascending was not a problem at all. Uncle, you are the enforcer of the Huaxia self-cultivation world? You are the ruler of the Huaxia self-cultivation world? Li Ling was shocked. In his position, he knew of the existence of the enforcers. That was why he was particularly shocked. Murong Yu nodded. After receiving Murong Yu's affirmation, Li Ling was even more shocked and excited. Haha, from now on, won't our Shengzhen always be the ruler of the Huaxia self-cultivation world? Will it never decline? With Murong Yu's support, as long as Murong Yu was still the enforcer of the Huaxia self-cultivation world, Shengzhen would never decline. This was Li Ling's thought. Murong Yu glanced at Li Ling indifferently. Although Shengzhen is a sect that I established, I am now the ruler of the entire Huaxia self-cultivation world. I will not deliberately favor Shengzhen. From the perspective of the enforcer, Shengzhen is the same as the other sects in the self-cultivation world. There is nothing special about it. Hearing Murong Yu's words, Li Ling was slightly disappointed. Seeing Li Ling's expression, how could Murong Yu not know what he was thinking? So he said with a smile, although I am the enforcer of the Huaxia self-cultivation world, I am also the founder of Shengzhen. Hearing this, Li Ling's eyes suddenly lit up. He already knew what Murong Yu was thinking. Murong Yu's last sentence had already expressed his attitude. After knowing Murong Yu's thoughts, Li Ling no longer bothered about this matter and said, Uncle, since you are back, go and see father and grandfather. They often talk about you. Murong Yu nodded. He and Li Feng were brothers. Although there was a difference between immortals and mortals, it did not dilute the feelings between them. Not only them, but this time, in addition to leading Shengzhen's immortals to the immortal realm, I also want to visit my old friends. Murong Yu smiled. In his mind, Zhao Jiqing's snow-white clothes and devastatingly beautiful appearance appeared. This time, in addition to Shengzhen's disciples, Murong Yu also had to give an explanation to the little ape king, Li Su, and the others. They were waiting for him to return from the immortal realm. After all, the immortal realm was too big. If they were allowed to ascend, who knew where they would ascend to? The immortal realm was so big. If they ascended to other places, it would be difficult to meet them in the future. In that case, I won't disturb Uncle. Li Ling was now a little anxious. He wanted to ascend to the immortal realm, but he needed to find a successor. Murong Yu sat alone in the sacred hall for half a day before leaving. He walked toward the residence of Li Feng and the others in Shenzhen. Chapter 441. Hidden Fairy Valley, Qing Xian Peak. With the support of Murong Yu's elixirs and immortal meridians, Qing Xian Peak was undoubtedly the most powerful peak in the Hidden Fairy Valley. It was even more powerful than the main peak of the Hidden Fairy Valley. As one of the two saintesses of the Hidden Fairy Valley, Zhao Jiqing's strength had already broken through to the heavenly immortal realm a few years ago. However, because she did not have immortal spiritual energy, she had only broken through to the heavenly immortal realm. However, although Zhao Jiqing's strength and Qing Xian Peak were extremely powerful, she had always been the saintess of the Hidden Fairy Valley and had never become the Valley Master of the Hidden Fairy Valley. Apart from him, Li Su and Li Sisi were the same. It was not that they were not qualified to become the Valley Master of the Hidden Fairy Valley, but that they were not willing to be the Valley Master. After all, at their level of strength, they were no longer interested in the cultivation world. They only wanted to ascend to the immortal realm. However, because of what Murong Yu said before he ascended, they did not ascend. At this moment, Zhao Jiqing stood alone on the highest peak of Qing Xian Peak and looked into the distance. If Murong Yu was here, he would realize that Zhao Jiqing was standing at the place where the two of them had stood side by side and looked into the distance. Swoosh! Suddenly, the void beside Zhao Jiqing was torn open and a figure appeared behind Zhao Jiqing out of thin air. Zhao Jiqing's heart skipped a beat and she reacted immediately. She slapped her palm towards the figure that appeared out of thin air. However, very quickly, Zhao Jiqing's expression changed slightly, and her hands stopped halfway. Zhao Jiqing turned around abruptly, her face filled with excitement as she looked at the person who had just arrived. The first thing that came into view was Murong Yu's handsome face, which had a smile on it. The person who suddenly appeared was Murong Yu. After Shenzhen made arrangements for his ascension, he went to meet with Li Feng and the others. Then, through the Hichu Luoshu world, he directly went to Zhao Jiqing's side. Because Zhao Jiqing had the jade slip array formation on her body, Murong Yu could directly sense her existence, so he directly teleported over. However, when he saw how fast Zhao Jiqing was, he was shocked. Zhao Jiqing's reaction speed and strength were beyond Murong Yu's expectations. After 20 years, Zhao Jiqing had become more and more powerful. Although she couldn't compare with Murong Yu, Zhao Jiqing's strength could definitely rank in the top 3 in the current Huaxiao world of self-cultivation. Although Murong Yu had never seen Li Su, Little Rock King, and the others, he was certain of Zhao Jiqing's strength. "You're back." Zhao Jiqing looked at Murong Yu, her face filled with excitement. Murong Yu nodded. "I'm back." The two of them didn't speak much. They just looked at each other, then hugged. No words were needed to express their feelings. After a long time, the two of them separated. Although their relationship had been confirmed, Zhao Jiqing's face was still flushed with embarrassment. However, the many years of yearning and worry seemed to have been melted away by this hug. After that, the two of them stood side by side on the highest peak. Murong Yu told her everything that had happened after he'd chased the Black Civ sect disciple into the immortal realm. However, when he talked about Mu Liue, Murong Yu felt a little awkward. The two of them had started off as enemies, but in the end, they'd mysteriously become husband and wife. They'd even done it as husband and wife. This made Murong Yu feel awkward, but at the same time, he felt guilty towards Zhao Jiqing. After all, Murong Yu wasn't a playboy. He'd never thought of having 3 or 4 wives. He'd always only had Zhao Jiqing in his heart. His feelings for Zhao Jiqing had always been the same. However, Murong Yu was a man who valued relationship. Since he'd already done it as husband and wife, He'd naturally take responsibility for Mu Liu. However, he didn't know how to broach the subject to Zhao Jiqing. Before coming to Qingxian Peak, Morongyu had thought about this problem and how to broach the subject. However, now that he was facing Zhao Jiqing, Morongyu didn't know how to broach the subject. After all, this wasn't fair to Zhao Jiqing. It was too hurtful. Forget it. When the boat comes to the bridgehead, everything will be all right. Let nature take its course. Morongyu was conflicted in his heart for a long time. In the end, he still couldn't bring himself to say it. Zhao Jiqing sensed Morongyu's awkwardness and hesitation, but she didn't notice anything. She thought that Morongyu was hiding some dangerous things that happened in the immortal world and didn't want her to know. If Morongyu knew that Zhao Jiqing had such thoughts, wouldn't he be so ashamed that he wouldn't be able to show his face? This time, I'm preparing to build the primal chaos Shenzhen in the immortal world. I've returned to take away the people of Shenzhen. Why don't you come along? After Morongyu briefly introduced the vastness and cruelty of the immortal world, he said to Zhao Jiqing. Originally, Morongyu thought that Zhao Jiqing would immediately agree. However, he saw that Zhao Jiqing was frowning slightly. Her face revealed a hint of hesitation. The immortal world also has the Hidden Fairy Valley. After all, I'm a disciple of the Hidden Fairy Valley. This isn't too good, right? Zhao Jiqing was also a person who valued relationship. She was now a disciple of the Hidden Fairy Valley. The Hidden Fairy Valley in the immortal world and the Hidden Fairy Valley in the cultivation world came from the same source. Under normal circumstances, after she ascended, she would join the Hidden Fairy Valley in the immortal world. If she joined the Shenzhen after ascending, it wouldn't be too good. After all, she was where she was today because of the Hidden Fairy Valley's nurturing. As the saying goes, one should remember the source when drinking water. She shouldn't join another sect. The immortal world also has the Hidden Fairy Valley? Morongyu's voice was a little surprised. He didn't know that there was a Hidden Fairy Valley in the immortal world. Other than the Hidden Fairy Valley, were there other sects in the cultivation world that came from the same source in the immortal world? If that was the case, he would have a lot of enemies. Morongyu's face revealed a strange smile. He wasn't afraid of these sections. After all, the immortal world was so big. There were as many sects as there were grains of sand in the Ganges. The chances of him bumping into those sects in the cultivation world was almost zero. Even if he bumped into them, he wouldn't be afraid. The immortal world is too big. Moreover, ascension will randomly appear in the millions of continents in the immortal world. Even if you ascend, I'm afraid you won't be able to find the Hidden Fairy Valley. Morongyu advised. When they entered the cultivation world, Morongyu didn't have the ability to protect Zhao Jiqing. That was why he let her join the Hidden Fairy Valley. But now, Morongyu didn't want Zhao Jiqing to join other sections. I won't let you leave my side again. Morongyu persuaded for a while. Seeing that Zhao Jiqing was still hesitating, he hugged Zhao Jiqing and said domineeringly. Hearing Morongyu's domineering voice, Zhao Jiqing was a little happy. She finally decided, if that's the case then I'll join Shenzhen. Only Qingxian Peak's disciple? Qingxian Peak's disciples were all trained by Zhao Jiqing. Now, there were more than 100 sky immortals. These people were all following Zhao Jiqing from the beginning. She didn't want to lose them just like that. Just take them with you, Morongyu said with a smile. She was only considering Zhao Jiqing's choice. As for the others? As long as they were willing, Morongyu would take them with him. Presumably, the Hidden Fairy Valley wouldn't stop her. Because of the urgency of time, Morongyu didn't stay in Qingxian Peak for long before leaving the Hidden Fairy Valley. He didn't even meet up with Li Su, who was close by. Mystic Moon Sect. I wonder how the big hooligan is doing in the immortal realm. Many years had passed. Yu Mengqing's strength had long reached the sky immortal realm. At this moment, she was sitting in the garden near her room. Morongyu's figure appeared in her mind. Girl, you're talking behind people's backs again. When did I? After hearing the sudden voice, Yu Mengqing replied out of habit. But before she could finish her sentence, Yu Mengqing was startled. With her current strength, who could silently appear by her side? Her reaction was the same as Zhao Jiqing's. The moment she reacted, she slapped in the direction of the voice. At the same time, she teleported away. Murong Yu was depressed. The first time was like this, and the second time was the same. Could it be that their strength had increased? Their vigilance had also increased? In fact, Murong Yu didn't expect that he knew the cause of Zhao Jiqing and Yu Mengqing's reactions, who asked him to appear out of thin air without a sound. With a flick of his finger, he turned Yu Mengqing's attack into nothing. However, Murong Yu didn't stop because of this. Instead, he slapped towards Zhao Jiqing. An extremely dangerous aura came from behind. This shocked Yu Mengqing, who was already in the sky immortal realm. Who is this? He's actually so strong? At this moment, a drop of cold sweat appeared on Yu Mengqing's forehead. She felt the horror of this power. It was definitely not something she could take on with her strength. At this moment, the sentence just now suddenly appeared in her mind. He's a big hooligan. Yu Mengqing was surprised at first, then her pretty face was filled with anger. Therefore, she didn't fight back. She just turned around and looked at Murong Yu. Seeing that Yu Mengqing didn't fight back, Murong Yu could only withdraw his power. This destroyed his idea of testing Yu Mengqing's strength. Big hooligan, it's really you. You bullied me as soon as you came back. Yu Mengqing gritted her teeth and looked at Murong Yu. She was very angry. However, before she finished speaking, her eyes turned red and she was about to cry. Seeing this, Murong Yu was shocked. Yu Mengqing's reaction really caught him off guard. I just wanted to test your reaction and strength. Murong Yu smiled embarrassedly. You only know how to bully me. Yu Mengqing looked at Murong Yu with hatred. Her eyes were filled with tears and she looked very wronged. This girl, how did she become like this? Murong Yu suddenly felt a headache. He was most afraid of women's tears. When he saw a woman's tears, no matter how strong he was always at a loss and didn't know how to comfort her. Seeing Murong Yu at a loss, Yu Mengqing glared at him fiercely. Idiot! Chapter 442. Yan Huang Immortal Realm, Lingnan Region, Forbidden Ground Nanling. Whoosh! A figure appeared out of thin air in front of the building where the Black Wind's stronghold was. After this figure appeared, over 100 figures appeared in succession. Wow! Is this the immortal realm? What dense immortal essence qi! As soon as these people appeared, they felt the extremely rich immortal spiritual energy. Their faces were filled with shock and astonishment. Such dense immortal essence qi! Cultivating here will be twice the result with half the effort. How can the immortal essence qi in the immortal realm be so dense? These people were all shocked. From their words, it seemed like this was their first time in the immortal realm. Some people even impatiently sat cross-legged on the ground and began to cultivate. Murong Yu, is this Nanling? A devastatingly beautiful woman in snow-white clothes walked up to Murong Yu's side and asked in a low voice. She was Zhao Jiqing. That's right, these people were Murong Yu and the others. When Murong Yu returned to the Huaxia Immortal Realm, he decided to bring Shenzhen's people up. Besides them, Zhao Jiqing, Yu Mengqing, Li Su, Little Ape King, Little Rock King, and the others were all brought up. Of course, other than Shenzhen's people, Murong Yu brought up his friends. As for the immortals from the Hidden Fairy Valley, Xianhua sect, and other sects, Murong Yu did not bring a single one. After all, these people were not Shenzhen's disciples. Even if they were brought up, they would not stay in Shenzhen. Besides, before Murong Yu returned to the immortal realm, these sects had already had immortals ascending. This is Nanling. It is the place with the densest immortal essence qi in Lingnan region. Murong Yu nodded and waved his hand, releasing some of Shenzhen's disciples from the Hichu, Luoshu world. At the same time, There were also the thousands of immortals that Murong Yu had subdued in the immortal world. Murong Yu didn't set up the sect immediately. Instead, he let these people familiarize themselves with the immortal world's southern mountain range. As for the matter of establishing a sect in the southern mountains, Murong Yu had already mentioned it to them. However, regarding the phantom sect's vengeful spirits, Murong Yu had only mentioned it to Zhao Jiqing and a few others. He did not want to affect Shengzhen's ordinary disciples. For 3 days in a row, Murong Yu let Shengzhen's disciples do as they please, allowing them to familiarize themselves with the southern ridge. During this process, some immortals even broke through to the next realm. As the saying goes, good preparation leads to good result. Those existences with heaven-defying talent who had been stuck in the cultivation world for more than 10 years, under the support of the rich immortal spiritual energy in the southern mountain range, breaking through to the next realm was not surprising. 3 days later, Murong Yu gathered tens of thousands of people and started to build a sect on top of the original foundation of the Black Wind Stockade. Tens of thousands of people, each and every one of them was a powerful immortal. In just a few days, buildings rose from the ground, and the Chaos Shengzhen sect began to take shape. In the following time, everyone worked hard together. A month later, a sect that was several times larger than the Huaxia cultivation world was built. The Chaos Shengzhen of the immortal world was officially established. After the Chaos Shengzhen was established, Murong Yu assigned various tasks to Yang Man, Duanmu Qing, and the others to continue to transform Shengzhen. At this time, Murong Yu was also busy. The Juetian Great Formation. With Hichu's help, Murong Yu began to set up the jutting immortal formation outside Shengzhen. Although under normal circumstances, no one would go deep into the southern mountain range, it did not mean that no one would really enter the southern mountain range. And now, although Shengzhen had a 9 Heavens Xian immortal expert guarding it, Murong Yu did not want to put Shengzhen in danger. After all, he had too many enemies. Although a dozen 9 Heavens Xian immortals looked very powerful, they were nothing compared to the immortal palace. Murong Yu wanted to do his best to ensure the safety of Shengzhen. After all, this was his sect. After 3 months and using tens of thousands of immortal weapons, the jutting immortal formation was finally completed. Murong Yu even used a royal armament as the eye of the formation. That day on Mount Wuji of the Heavenly Punisher Palace, Murong Yu defeated Mo Fo of the Fire Beacon Cultivation World and won 3 royal armaments. Therefore, other than using a royal armament as the eye of the jutting immortal formation, he also placed a royal armament in Shengzhen as Shengzhen's guardian divine weapon. In a few months, the immortal world of Shengzhen was on the right track. Murong Yu was the sacred master, while Yang Man, Duanmu Qing, Zhang Ao, and the others were the elders, protectors, and so on. Immortal world, Shengzhen, in the sacred palace. Murong Yu, the upper echelons of Shengzhen, and Zhao Jiqing were gathered together. They seemed to be discussing some matters. Sacred Master, although our immortal world of Shengzhen has been established and is on the right track. However, how are we going to accept the disciples of Shengzhen who have ascended from the cultivation world? Duanmu Qing asked with a frown. The others also looked at Murong Yu. This was their common problem. The immortal world was simply too big. Every continent was bigger than the cultivation world of Huaxia, and they were known as the Million Continent. The most important thing was that the people who ascended from the cultivation world were random. They would appear in any of the million continents of the immortal world. Although the immortal world of Shengzhen had been established, it was unable to accept the disciples of the cultivation world of Shengzhen. Even if the disciples of the cultivation world knew that the Shengzhen of the immortal world of Shengzhen was in the depths of the southern mountains, they could still come to the immortal world of Shengzhen if they ascended to the southern mountains. However, what if they ascended to the other continent? With their strength, they might not even be able to cross to the southern mountains. Once this happened, the immortal world of Shenzhen would not be able to accept disciples from the lower world. Murong Yu also frowned. He couldn't bring the people of the cultivation world of Shenzhen to the immortal world of Shenzhen every single time, right? This was an impractical idea. However, how could he let the disciples of the Shenzhen of the lower worlds ascend to the immortal world of Shenzhen or the southern mountains? Murong Yu also had no idea. It seems like I have to discuss this matter with Hichu. If even Hichu has no idea, then I can only see if the Heavenly Punisher Palace has a solution. Murong Yu thought gloomily. I'll think about this problem first. I'll definitely find a solution. Murong Yu said faintly. He temporarily suppressed this problem. Is our Shenzhen only accepting disciples from the lower worlds, or are we also accepting disciples from the immortal world? If we only accept the disciples of the Shenzhen of the lower worlds, then we must solve the problem of their ascension. Moreover, even if there are realm-breaking pills and immortal ascension pills in the lower worlds, there aren't many who can break through to the immortal world of Shenzhen. In this way, the development of our immortal world of Shenzhen will be hindered. This was also a problem. After these years of development, the Shenzhen of the lower worlds was already strong enough. Murong Yu had gradually reduced the use of realm-breaking pills and immortal ascension pills. After all, blindly using pills to increase one's strength was not very good for the cultivators themselves. Now that the Shenzhen of the lower worlds was the absolute number one force, Murong Yu did not approve of them continuing to use these pills. One's strength had to be cultivated step by step to be solid. For the time being, we won't accept disciples from the outside. Moreover, our Shenzhen of the lower worlds is still in its initial stage. It's not suitable for us to accept disciples from the outside. Once the problem of ascension is solved and Shenzhen is strong enough, then we can accept disciples from the outside. Murong Yu said. The current Shenzhen of the lower worlds was still in a state of secrecy. Once they accepted disciples from the outside, Shenzhen's existence would definitely be exposed. Once they were discovered by the Immortal Palace, they would probably be destroyed immediately. Murong Yu's intention was to slowly develop the Shenzhen of the lower world. After solving a series of problems, Murong Yu announced another shocking news. From today onwards, Zhao Jiqing will be the Holy Lord of the Shenzhen. When this news came out, it immediately shocked everyone in the main hall. They had no objections to Murong Yu's decision. After all, they were familiar with Zhao Jiqing and had already been recognized as the wife of the Holy Lord. They did not have any objections to her. However, they were still shocked and did not know what Murong Yu was doing. You don't have to be surprised. I have a deeper meaning for this arrangement. In the immortal world, I have many enemies and they are extremely powerful. Once they find out that I am the Holy Lord of the Shenzhen, they will definitely do harm to Shenzhen. Therefore, on the surface, Zhao Jiqing is the Holy Lord of the Shenzhen. However, in reality, I am still the Holy Lord of the Shenzhen. I will not abandon the Shenzhen. Everyone suddenly understood. Zhao Jiqing did not have any strange expression. Murong Yu had already obtained her consent. Otherwise, he would not have rashly made her the Holy Lord of the Shenzhen. From then on, Zhao Jiqing became the Holy Lord of the Shenzhen. As for Murong Yu, he was the invisible Holy Lord of the Shenzhen, the founder of the Shenzhen sect. In the Hichu Luoshu world, Murong Yu found Hichu. It's very simple. You just need to build a transfer array in the Shenzhen. The disciples of the Shenzhen in the lower realm can use the transfer array to directly transfer to the immortal world Shenzhen. After hearing that Murong Yu wanted to solve the problem of the disciples of the Shenzhen in the lower realm ascending, Hichu said indifferently. So simple? Murong Yu was pleasantly surprised. He quickly said, then quickly build the transfer array. I don't have the materials. Hichu said indifferently. Murong Yu was so angry that he vomited blood. What materials do you need? Are the materials that were used to build the transfer array not enough? When building the Hichu Luoshu transfer array, one only needed a jade slip and some arrays were engraved on it. Hichu rolled his eyes. Do you think that building a transfer array between the two realms is so simple? It requires a lot of special materials. I don't have any of them. As for the Hichu Luoshu transfer array, it is very special and easy to build. What materials do you need? Where can I find these materials? Murong Yu asked. He urgently wanted to solve this problem. Yuan meteor stone, space crystal, space stone, 3-star stone. Hichu said dozens of materials in one breath. Murong Yu rolled his eyes. What materials are these? Why haven't I heard of them? Murong Yu was speechless. He had never heard of these materials. How could he find these materials? Hichu sneered. These are the materials used to build transfer arrays in the ancient times. Now, the immortal world doesn't even have transfer arrays. It's not normal for you to have heard of these materials. Chapter 443. Yuan meteor stone, spatial crystal, dark sky stone, 3-star stone. Murong Yu was depressed when he heard Hichu list out materials he'd never heard of. Materials used to build teleportation arrays in ancient times? There are no more teleportation arrays in the immortal world? What's the reason for that? Is it because of the materials or because the method to build teleportation arrays has been lost? Murong Yu came to these two conclusions from Hichu's words. Although there weren't many of these materials in ancient times, there were still quite a few of them. Even in the immortal world, there should still be these materials. The lack of teleportation arrays in the immortal world today isn't because of the lack of materials. Hichu said slowly. If it wasn't a problem with the materials, then the method to build teleportation arrays had been lost in the immortal world. However, he too, this monstrous existence, knew too many things. Murong Yu wouldn't have been surprised even if he had some ancient inheritance that had been severed. Murong Yu was naturally pleasantly surprised that Hichu could build a teleportation array. However, the problem with the materials made things difficult for Murong Yu. Oh well, the teleportation array must be built. I'll go out and search for the materials after the time is up. Murong Yu muttered to himself but didn't leave the Nanling Mountains. After all, Shenzhen had only been established not long ago. Although it was on the right track, Murong Yu still couldn't leave. In the following days, Murong Yu returned to the immortal world and brought most of the remaining immortals of Shenzhen to Shenzhen. Only a small number of people were left behind to guard Shenzhen. A year later, Li Su, the Little Ape King, the Little Lion King, and Hu Tong found Murong Yu and asked him about their trip. Although Murong Yu was a bit surprised that they'd left the Nanling Mountains so quickly, he didn't stop them. After all, they were not Shenzhen's people. They had their own paths to walk and could not be tied to Shenzhen. Before they left, Murong Yu gave each of them a batch of pills, including immortal expansion pills, immortal spirit pills, and so on. In addition, each of them also received an immortal artifact. Little Rock King, you should also leave, Murong Yu suddenly said, looking at the hesitant Little Rock King. At this time, the Little Rock King had already reached the celestial immortal realm, and he was not one of Shenzhen's people, so he should be able to go out and explore. However, when he lost to Murong Yu back then, he had always strictly followed his promise, to be Murong Yu's mount. Even though Murong Yu no longer needed him, he did not leave Shenzhen. Hearing this, the Little Rock King's eyes immediately revealed a wisp of light. Although he had reached the celestial immortal realm, he realized that the gap between him and Murong Yu was getting wider and wider. He also understood that fighting was the best way to increase his strength. If he continued to cultivate in Shenzhen, perhaps his strength would continue to increase, but it would definitely not be as fast as going out and adventuring. However, he could not leave because of his promise back then. I am your mount. I will not leave Shenzhen, the Little Rock King said calmly, suppressing the throbbing in his heart. Your speed is far inferior to mine. You are no longer qualified to be my mount, Murong Yu sneered. In the celestial world, those who had not reached the golden immortal realm could not fly, but some bird-type monsters did not have this restriction. For example, as long as he transformed into his true body, he could still fly in the celestial world. It was just that his speed was not as fast as imagined. Compared to Morong-Yu, his flying speed was still not as fast as Morong-Yu's. Even so, I am still your mount. This cannot be changed. The little Rock King's face was ugly, but he still said resolutely, "At this moment my speed is already 100 times, 1,000 times faster than yours. It is meaningless for you to be by my side. On the contrary, you will even drag me down. If you really want to keep your promise back, then you can go and increase your strength first. When your speed is enough to be my mount, I don't mind you being my mount." The little Rock King's expression kept changing. Although Morong-Yu's words were unpleasant, the little Rock King knew that Morong-Yu was telling the truth. Moreover, Morong-Yu's words had another meaning: to let him go out and experience and increase his strength. The gap between my strength and Morong-Yu's is getting bigger and bigger. It won't take long before I can't even look up to him. The little Rock King thought to himself. Back in the cultivation world, he was ranked above Morong-Yu. At the same time, he was also a descendant of the golden-winged rock clan and was arrogant by nature. However, he had lost to Morong-Yu in the end. After thinking for a moment, the little Rock King finally made up his mind. "All right, I won't disappoint you." Before he even finished speaking, the little Rock King turned to leave. "Wait a moment." Morong-Yu stopped the little Rock King. At the same time, he tossed a batch of pills and immortal tools to the little Rock King. "The immortal realm is dangerous. With these things you can avoid some unnecessary dangers." "Thank you." The little Rock King accepted the items and said his thanks. Then, he rushed out of the sacred palace and left. "It's time to go out and search for materials for teleportation formations." After Li Su and the others left, Morong-Yu also prepared to leave the sacred palace. After giving some pills, immortal expansion pills, and immortal tools to Zhao Jiqing, Morong-Yu left Shenzhen and the southern mountains. This time, apart from Little Purple and the large black dog, he didn't bring anyone else with him. He left the thousands of immortals he had subdued in the immortal realm in Shenzhen. Apart from the fact that he needed their strength to protect Shenzhen, Morong-Yu also didn't want to take them with him. Morong-Yu discovered that once he took them with him, he would develop the mentality of not doing anything when they encountered something. For example, after completing the 2 missions from the Heavenly Punisher Palace, he almost didn't do anything. If this continued, it would be disadvantageous for him. After all, the immortal realm was a place where the fist was the truth. If Morong-Yu relied on the strength of others for a long time and neglected his own strength, then Morong-Yu would never be able to become stronger. Fight. Fight. Only through fighting and being limited to danger can I quickly improve my cultivation level. Morong-Yu roared in his mind. Although he was now an exalted immortal and had reached the golden immortal realm, he was still too weak. He was still at the bottom of the immortal realm. If he wanted to fight against a giant like the immortal palace, he must have great strength. With a flash, Morong-Yu disappeared from the Hichu Luoshu world. When he reappeared, he was already in the Heavenly Punisher Palace, in his 1-star manner. Yuan Meteor Stone, Space Crystal, Space Stone. Steward Ma frowned slightly and looked at Morong-Yu with an awkward expression. "How is it?" Steward Ma shook his head awkwardly. "I haven't heard of these, but I know about the 3-star stone. The 3-star stone is the hardest material in the world, but I don't know what the Palace Lord uses it for?" Morong-Yu frowned slightly. Seeing Morong-Yu frown, Steward Ma's heart skipped a beat. He was just a servant. How could he know about the matters of the Palace Lord? This old servant was too impulsive. I shouldn't have inquired about the Palace Master's matters. I truly deserve to die 1,000 times over. Steward Ma had an apologetic look on his face. He thought that Morong Yu was frowning because of his question. It's okay, I have my own use for these. Steward Ma, have you heard of the 3-star stone? Do you know where I can find the 3-star stone? Where can I find the other materials? The 3-star stone is not difficult to find. Because of its hardness, it has always been a material used to forge divine weapons. Although it is rare, it can usually be bought. As for other places, you should be able to find it in some auction houses or chambers of commerce. However, the palace lord can try the information of the Heavenly Punisher Palace. Perhaps there will be unexpected gains. Seeing that Morong Yu did not blame him for asking too much, Steward Ma was overjoyed. Then, he gave a detailed introduction to Morong Yu. Auction house, Heavenly Punisher Palace. Morong Yu frowned slightly, then looked at Steward Ma and said, Steward Ma, not bad, thank you. After saying that, Morong Yu left the manor and walked towards Mount Wuji. This palace lord seems to be not bad. Looking at Morong Yu's back, Steward Ma was slightly moved. 3-star stone, spatial crystal, Yuan meteor stone. Morong Yu was looking through the information of the Heavenly Punisher Palace and was pleasantly surprised to find the existence of these materials. However, it was only some related information. As for where these materials existed, the information did not state. Is my authority not enough? Morong Yu frowned slightly. These were only the introductions of the materials. They were useless to Morong Yu, because he already knew the source of these materials. For example, the Yuan meteor stone was a material formed after the stars in the sky fell to the immortal world. It was extremely rare. As for the spatial crystal, as the name implied, it was a crystal formed after the space was shattered. Generally speaking, after the stars fell to the immortal world, they would form meteorites and meteoric iron. However, the Yuan meteor stone was of a much higher grade than the meteoric iron. There might not even be one Yuan meteor stone in hundreds of millions of meteorite. However, the spatial crystal was much simpler. As long as the void was shattered, it was possible to obtain the spatial crystal. Of course, this only referred to the space of the immortal world. Moreover, space was easy to shatter, but it was difficult to obtain the spatial crystal. Therefore, the spatial crystal had always been rare. It was almost as rare as the Yuan meteor stone. According to Hichu, in the ancient times, these materials were simply ordinary materials. Otherwise, the teleportation arrays would not be so common. In the ancient times there were too many experts. They could easily shatter the void and obtain large amounts of spatial crystal. However, how could there be so many Yuan meteor stones? Could it be that the experts in the ancient times could pluck the stars? Morong Yu looked at the sky of the immortal world. It was unknown how high it was. How could those stars be touched? If the experts in the ancient times were really so powerful, then it was really terrifying. Maybe I should go to Lingnan City to take a look. Morong Yu saw that the Heavenly Punisher Palace did not have the detailed information of these materials. He could only go to Lingnan City to take a look. After all, there were more auction houses and merchant associations. Chapter 444. As one of the 10 great states out of the millions of great states in the world of immortals, Lingnan City was one of the largest cities in the world of immortals. It was bustling with activity. It spanned tens of millions of kilometers. This was the scale of Lingnan City. In China's cultivation world, all of the monster spirits had gathered at the Demon Mountain before they'd been born. The Demon Mountain, on the other hand, spanned no more than 1,000,000 kilometers. In other words, Lingnan City was 10 times the size of the Demon Mountain. If such a large sinking pool was placed in the cultivation world, it would take some weaker cultivators a few months to travel from east to west, or even longer. At this moment, Morong Yu was standing not too far away from South Ridge City. He was looking at the city with a face full of shock. He was completely stunned by the majestic and vast city. Lingnan is indeed one of the 10 great states of the world of immortals. Lingnan City is too stunning. Murong finally reacted after a long pause. Not long after, he entered Lingnan City. As the largest city in Lingnan, Lingnan City was home to countless immortals. Countless factions and sects had branches here, and some even had their headquarters within the city. Even the Heavenly Punisher Palace had a branch in South Ridge City. Apart from these sects, there were also countless merchant guilds, auction houses, and various other business organizations. Of the 10 great merchant guilds in the world of immortals, the Four Ways Merchant Guild specializes in medicinal ingredients, while the Pinnacle Merchant Guild specializes in refining materials. Before coming to Lingnan City, Murong had already inquired about the various famous merchant guilds and auction houses in the world of immortals. He knew that the Pinnacle Merchant Guild specialized in refining materials. In fact, while the Pinnacle Merchant Guild specialized in refining materials, that didn't mean they only dealt in refining materials. The 10 great merchant guilds of the world of immortals were all comprehensive businesses. They all had their own strength. For example, the Pinnacle Merchant Guild was more prominent in refining materials. Similarly, the Four Ways Merchant Guild specialized in other businesses and had the most complete collection of medicinal ingredients among the 10 great merchant guild. Thus, Murong headed straight for the Pinnacle Merchant Guild. The headquarters of the great merchant guilds weren't in Lingnan City. But even so, the scale of their branch here was extremely shocking. There were many magnificent buildings with luxurious decorations. There were people everywhere, and business was booming. Even so, when Murong entered the Pinnacle Merchant Guild, a worker greeted him with a smile. He didn't neglect Murong's status at all. "I need to buy some materials." Murong didn't wait for the worker to speak. "Dear customer, please follow me to the materials area." The shop assistant politely led Murong past a few buildings and into the materials area. At this point, it must be mentioned that because every chamber of commerce was a comprehensive chamber of commerce, they had a wide variety of products. Of the Pinnacle Merchant Guild. Of the Pinnacle Merchant Guild. Our Pinnacle Merchant Guild has the most complete collection of materials among the 10 great merchant guild. As long as you can think of a material, our Pinnacle Merchant Guild has it. There isn't a material that can't be found here. On the way, the worker tried his best to promote his guild. Murong only smiled at this. Whether the Pinnacle Merchant Guild lived up to its name wasn't something that could be bragged about. It had to be proven with facts. This is the materials area. There are samples of various materials inside. If there's any material that you fancy, we can trade it directly. This was an extremely spacious building with 3 floors. Even though it wasn't as impressive as the previous building, it was still very luxurious. Just like the worker said, the building was filled with samples of various materials. It was dazzling and dazzling. After watching for a while, Murong stopped in his tracks. He wasn't good at forging, so he wasn't familiar with these materials. It could even be said that he didn't recognize any of the dozens or hundreds of materials here. "I need dozens of materials. I won't look at them one by one. Take a look at what you have." As he spoke, Murong handed a list of materials to the worker. "Don't worry. You've made the right choice by coming to our Pinnacle Merchant Guild. This time, we'll definitely let you return with a bountiful harvest. Yuan Meteor Stone, Spatial Crystal Fragment, 3-Star Stone, Sky Stone." The shop assistant glanced at the list of materials in his hand as he bragged about the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce to Murong. "What materials are these? I've never heard of them before." The worker looked at Murong in shock. He even had a look of caution in his eyes. There were 60 to 70 types of materials listed on the list. The worker had only heard of a dozen or so materials. The Pinnacle Merchant Guild didn't even sell 10 types of materials. Could it be that he's here to cause trouble? The worker looked at Murong in shock as the vigilance in his eyes grew even stronger. He had worked in the Pinnacle Merchant Guild for many years and was very knowledgeable about the products they sold. Now that he had never heard of these materials, He suspected that Morong Yu was sent by a competitor to cause trouble. Sir, if you're here to do business, the Pinnacle Merchant Guild welcomes you. However, if the Pinnacle Merchant Guild isn't something that anyone can afford to offend. The worker suspected that Morong Yu was here to cause trouble, so his tone was no longer as polite as before. He even sounded like he was warning him. How could Morong Yu not understand the worker's meaning? His face immediately darkened. Didn't you say that the Pinnacle Merchant Guild had no materials that you couldn't find? Now that you can't find the materials I need, you suspect that I'm here to cause trouble? Is this how the Pinnacle Merchant Guild does business? Morong Yu's voice wasn't very loud, but the people in the Pinnacle Merchant Guild weren't ordinary people. In an instant, everyone on the first floor heard Morong Yu's angry words. Hence, all the customers and workers turned to look at him. Sir, aren't you deliberately trying to cause trouble for our Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce by using something that doesn't exist? The shop assistant was a little annoyed. He could tell at a glance that the materials were fake. Morong Yu still didn't admit it? Look at where you are. How dare you cause trouble for the Pinnacle Merchant Guild? You're asking for death. The worker sneered. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Hearing the shop assistant's words, the other staff members of the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce immediately rushed over and surrounded Morong Yu. Seeing this, Morong Yu was inwardly furious. Who is this person? How dare he cause trouble for the Pinnacle Merchant Guild? Doesn't he know how powerful the Pinnacle Merchant Guild is? He's asking for death. What an idiot. Sigh, of all the places to cause trouble, he just had to cause trouble for the Pinnacle Merchant Guild. He really doesn't know how to spell the word death. I think there's something wrong with his head. Why else would he cause trouble for the Pinnacle Merchant Guild? Hearing their words, the customers on the first floor started to point at Morong Yu. They all thought that Morong Yu was here to cause trouble. Please leave the Pinnacle Merchant Guild immediately. Otherwise, the Pinnacle Merchant Guild will ask you to leave. The worker who received Morong Yu said coldly to Morong Yu. Morong Yu took a deep breath, barely suppressing the anger and killing intent in his heart. He looked at the workers surrounding him and said coldly, Are you representing the Pinnacle Merchant Guild? We deal with people who cause trouble in the Pinnacle Merchant Guild the same way. The worker who received Morong Yu said impatiently. As he spoke, the workers looked at Morong Yu nervously. After all, they were only in the Sky Immortal realm. Morong Yu's cultivation level was much higher than theirs. However, when they saw a few people rushing in from outside, their nervousness disappeared. This was because one of the few people who came had reached the Golden Immortal realm. They were some guards, bodyguards, and the like. He purposely caused trouble in the Pinnacle Merchant Guild. Chase him out. The worker who received Morong Yu pointed at Morong Yu and said to the people who came in. The leader of the Golden Immortals looked at Morong Yu and said, Kid, are you going to leave on your own or do you want us to force you out? I'll say it again. I'm not here to cause trouble. The materials I need are not fake. It's fine if the Pinnacle Merchant Guild doesn't have them, but you're accusing me of causing trouble. Is this how the Pinnacle Merchant Guild does things? Morong Yu's anger and killing intent could no longer be suppressed. Kid, you're here to cause trouble, and yet you're still so arrogant. I'm going to strangle you to death. The Golden Immortal laughed and pounced on Morong Yu. In the process, he reached out his hand and grabbed Morong Yu's neck. He wanted to break his neck. Morong Yu's eyes were filled with killing intent. The anger and killing intent that he had been suppressing for a long time finally exploded the moment the Golden Immortal attacked. You're courting death. Morong Yu bellowed and took a step forward. Next, he unleashed the elephant-pulling fist of 1,000 armies against the incoming Gold Immortal's hand. This attack contained 80% of Morong Yu's strength. It was so frightening that even space itself started to distort from the impact. This time, Morong Yu came to buy materials but was accused of causing trouble by the Pinnacle Merchant Guild. The Pinnacle Merchant Guild's unreasonable actions had made him furious. Therefore, he didn't hold back when he attacked. Crack! Bang! Murong Yu's fist and the Golden Immortal's hand collided fiercely halfway to each other. Then, the crisp sound of bones shattering could be heard. This kid, a mere exalted immortal, dares to attack a Golden Immortal? Isn't he courting death? At this moment, everyone, including the Golden Immortal, thought that Murong Yu would die. Chapter 445. Murong Yu was only an exalted immortal. In the immortal world, the difference of one realm was like a chasm between heaven and earth. It was unsurpassable and impossible to kill someone who was an entire realm higher. Therefore, no one thought highly of Murong Yu in the beginning. After all, his opponent was a Golden Immortal. When they heard the crisp sound of bones breaking, everyone thought that Murong Yu had been killed. At the very least, he would be severely injured. However, they were soon shocked to discover that the sound of bones breaking didn't come from Murong Yu's body. It came from Murong Yu's opponent, the Golden Immortal from the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce. The Golden Immortal's entire arm was twisted like a fried dough twist when he clashed with Murong Yu's fist. The clothes on his hands were completely shredded. Broken bones even drilled out from the skin on his hand. The white bones were eerie and extremely terrifying. Ah! Only then did the Golden Immortal cry out in pain. Murong Yu's face was filled with murderous intent. Murong Yu's hand did not stop after smashing the Golden Immortal's arm. Ugh! The Golden Immortal's scream was cut short. There was no other reason other than the fact that Murong Yu had grabbed him by the neck and lifted him above his head like a little chick. Seeing this scene, everyone on the first floor was stunned. This kid was only an exalted immortal. How could his strength be so terrifying? A Golden Immortal was like an ant in front of him, unable to withstand a single blow. Could he be a hidden expert, a wolf in sheep's clothing? For a moment, the guests on the first floor were stunned by Murong Yu's attack. Perhaps there were immortals on the first floor who were much stronger than Murong Yu, but they were still shocked. Murong Yu was only an exalted immortal, but he had almost killed a Golden Immortal in seconds. If Murong Yu wanted to, the Golden Immortal from the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce would definitely be killed in seconds. Put him down. After recovering from their shock, the workers and hired thugs of the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce finally reacted. However, due to the difference in strength, they did not immediately make a move. They only looked at Murong Yu and shouted. As for the waiter who had received Murong Yu earlier, he was now even more certain that Murong Yu was here to cause trouble. This fellow was clearly not an ascendant immortal. He was pretending to be a pig to eat the tiger. If he was not here to cause trouble, then what was he? The Golden Immortal from the Chamber of Commerce had his neck grabbed by Murong Yu, but he found it difficult to breathe. His eyes were bloodshot and he looked terrified. His legs were kicking wildly. However, he did not dare to attack Murong Yu. He knew that if he continued to provoke Murong Yu would only need to exert a little force to break his neck. I'll say it again. I'm not here to cause trouble. I won't attack unless I'm attacked, but if I'm attacked, I'll return the favor tenfold. Murong Yu glanced coldly at the workers. The murderous intent in his eyes was extremely terrifying. Seeing the murderous intent in Murong Yu's eyes, the workers felt a chill in their hearts. They looked away, not daring to meet Murong Yu's eyes. This is the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce. It's not a place for you to do as you please. Let him go now or you won't be able to leave this place. Relying on the fact that he was a member of the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce, the shop assistant who had received Murong Yu earlier had an unyielding attitude and insisted that Murong Yu was here to cause trouble. Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce? That's all there is to it. Murong Yu snorted, his tone full of disdain. Who's causing trouble at the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce? Just then, a cold voice sounded. At the same time, Murong Yu felt a powerful and terrifying aura envelop him. An expert. Murong Yu's heart skipped a beat as he turned to look at the entrance. He saw 5 people walking slowly toward him. The person in the lead was a middle-aged man in a green robe. He must be the one who had spoken earlier. This person is at least an overarching heavenly supreme celestial. Murong-yu glanced at the middle-aged man. He could vaguely sense the middle-aged man's cultivation base based on the aura he emitted. Behind the middle-aged man, there was a middle-aged burly man. This man's aura was violent and fierce. His eyes emitted an extremely invasive gaze. When he made contact with Murong-yu, Murong-yu felt a slight stinging pain in his eyes, and his head felt as if it was about to explode. Great overarching golden celestial. Murong-yu was shocked. However, he maintained his composure as he looked at these people. Apart from these two people, the other three people were ordinary golden celestials. The staff of the Peak Chamber of Commerce was overjoyed when they saw the newcomers. Manager. He's the one who came to cause trouble and even took a hostage, the staff who had served Murong-yu earlier said angrily as he pointed at Murong-yu. The manager of the Peak Chamber of Commerce, the middle-aged man in a green robe, looked at Murong-yu coldly. How dare you cause trouble in the Peak Chamber of Commerce? You're digging your own grave. The man who seemed to be a perfected golden immortal shouted as he took a step forward. His large hand abruptly stretched out and grabbed at Murong-yu. Wait. The middle-aged man in a green robe stopped the great overarching golden celestial's attack. He looked at Murong-yu indifferently and frowned slightly. Friend, why are you causing trouble in the Peak Chamber of Commerce? Who are you working for? Dong Yuan was the manager of the Peak Chamber of Commerce's branch in Lingnan City. Although he was only an overarching heavenly supreme celestial, he was a shrewd businessman. That was why he was able to become the manager of the Peak Chamber of Commerce in Lingnan City when he was only an overarching heavenly supreme celestial. Dong Yuan was puzzled when he received news that someone was causing trouble in the materials section. Who would cause trouble in the Peak Chamber of Commerce? Was this not a death wish? As one of the top 10 chambers of commerce in the celestial realm, there were many competitors. It was not uncommon for competitors to hire people to cause trouble. Usually, Dong Yuan would not personally deal with such a situation. He would only hire bodyguards to chase the troublemaker out of the Chamber of Commerce. However, today, he found out that this troublemaker had come with a list of made-up materials to cause trouble. This matter made Dong Yuan feel strange. He vaguely felt that today's matter was not as simple as deliberately causing trouble. Therefore, he brought the experts to the materials section. As soon as Dong Yuan saw Murong-yu, he knew this person was not simple. Moreover, he did not seem like a troublemaker. However, he still decided to ask. Murong-yu reached out and threw the golden immortal who was almost dead. He sneered and said, "You are the manager of the Peak Chamber of Commerce? Your eyesight is not good either. Why don't you take a look at my list before you decide if I am here to cause trouble?" Dong Yuan's eyes flashed with a strange light. He turned to look at the workers of the Peak Chamber of Commerce. "Manager, these materials are all made up. This kid is clearly here to cause trouble." The worker who served Murong-yu waved the list in his hand and sneered at Murong-yu. "Damn you, who do you think you are? The manager wants to see the list." The burly man behind Dong Yuan could not help but curse when he saw that the worker did not pass the list to Dong Yuan. At the same time, he walked up and slapped the worker hard on the face. At the same time, he snatched the list and handed it to Dong Yuan. The worker who served Murong-yu was stunned when he was slapped by the burly man. Then, he reacted and could not help but feel regret. He had taken the slap for nothing. If it wasn't for the fact that the burly man didn't use his full strength, he would have been slapped into a cloud of blood mist. Dong Yuan took the list and glanced at it. His expression changed drastically. Yuan Meteor Stone, Space Crystal, Dark Sky Stone, 3-star stone. Dong Yuan was more shocked the more he looked. "Supervisor, are you sure that this brat is here to cause trouble on purpose?" Holding his swollen face that resembled a steamed bun, He glared fiercely at Morongyu. He blamed everything that happened today on Morongyu. F*CKU. Dong Yuan, who was very surprised, couldn't help but snort coldly and slap the other side of the man's face after hearing his words. This time, the worker was completely stunned. The other workers were also completely stunned. They finally reacted. This kid was not here to cause trouble. The materials were real. They just did not know about it. How many times have I told you? Just because you don't know or have never heard of them doesn't mean they don't exist. You have to ask me before you make a decision. Are you deaf? Are you scared? Are you ignoring my words? After slapping the worker, Dong Yuan was still furious. Hence, he scolded the workers, not caring about what the nearby customers thought. I'll deduct your bonuses for a year. I'll deduct your bonuses for 3 years and reduce your benefits by half. After scolding these people, Dong Yuan immediately punished them. This time, the rest of the workers looked at the worker who served Morongyu with resentment. You son of AB*TCH, are you blind? You got us into trouble. In response, Morongyu merely looked at Dong Yuan with an indifferent expression as he sneered. Sir, this way please. Let's talk in detail somewhere else. By the way, I'm the manager of the Lingnan City branch of the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce, Dong Yuan. How should I address you? Morongyu was indifferent to Dong Yuan's enthusiasm. He had been framed as a troublemaker today. Even though Dong Yuan had already dealt with this matter, the anger in his heart had not dissipated. Are you not satisfied with my punishment? If that's the case, I'll fire them directly. Dong Yuan said when he saw Morongyu's indifference. The Chamber of Commerce's employees felt their hearts skip a beat as they looked at Morongyu with fearful gazes. As long as Morongyu said a word, they would lose this high-paying job. Chapter 446. This has nothing to do with them. I was the one who made a mistake. Supervisor, if you want to fire someone, then fire me alone. At this moment, the worker who had received Morongyu took a step forward and spoke to Dong Yuan with a resolute expression. Upon hearing this, a hint of surprise flashed in Morongyu's eyes as he looked at the worker. This fellow was a responsible person. Although Morongyu had not been in South Mountain State for long, he knew the benefits of working for a top chamber of commerce. For heavenly celestials like him, the benefits of working for these chambers of commerce were extremely high. Moreover, most of the people working for the chambers of commerce did not have much of a background. If they lost this job, with their abilities, they wouldn't even be able to get cultivation resources in the future. Morongyu pondered for a moment before he said, "Forget it. They're only doing this for the sake of the Chamber of Commerce. I think we should just let it go." Although he wanted to kill the worker earlier, there was no need for him to be calculative with such a small fry. Moreover, the worker was not targeting Morongyu. After all, the materials that Morongyu needed were extremely rare. They had not even heard of them before. Thank you. He thought Morongyu would not let him go. However, when he heard Morongyu's words, the worker who served Morongyu was stunned. Soon after, he came to his senses and thanked Morongyu with a face full of excitement. Morongyu merely waved his hand and turned to leave. However, how could Dong Yuan let Morongyu leave just like that? If he let Morongyu leave, the reputation of the Peak Chamber of Commerce would be tarnished. Although Dong Yuan was only an overarching heavenly supreme celestial and was not considered strong, he had good judgment. Nevertheless, he had a good eye. When Dong Yuan saw Morongyu was not calculative with the worker, he nodded inwardly. He felt that Morongyu was a good person. If Morongyu were an ordinary person, even if he did not beat the worker to death, he would have demanded a large sum of compensation from the Peak Chamber of Commerce. Moreover, Dong Yuan was not like these workers. When he saw Morongyu's list of materials, he felt that Morongyu was not simple. He was shocked to find that most of the materials Morongyu was looking for were materials that had almost disappeared. In other words, Dong Yuan knew that the materials on Murong Yu's material list existed, but they were almost impossible to find in the immortal world. Sir, if you don't mind, why don't we go to the side and talk about these materials? Dong Yuan said with a smile before Murong Yu left. Murong Yu's heart skipped a beat. He stopped and looked at Dong Yuan. You have these materials? Dong Yuan smiled and said, I can't guarantee all of them, but at least some of them. Would you be willing to sit down and talk? In that case, let's go and have a talk, Murong Yu said faintly. With a faint smile, Dong Yuan led Murong Yu out of the materials area. Those materials are really not enough? They really exist? At this moment, the waiter who had received Murong Yu was looking at their departing backs with a face full of shock. He felt somewhat depressed in his heart. F*ck, I was beaten up for nothing. My eyes have been blinded. The moment he thought that those materials were real, the shop assistant regretted it so much that he wanted to slap himself twice. Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce, in a hall. Mr. Dong Yuan, does your Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce really have these materials? Murong Yu asked anxiously as soon as they sat down. He couldn't help but be anxious. These materials were related to the ascension of Shenzhen's disciples. Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce is one of the top 10 chambers of commerce in the immortal world. We have the most complete materials in the immortal world. Of course, we have most of the materials Mr. Murong needs, Dong Yuan said awkwardly. Only a portion? Not all? Murong Yu frowned at Dong Yuan. Dong Yuan said awkwardly, we have most of the materials Mr. Murong needs. Although there are a few, the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce has a small amount in storage. However, the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce doesn't have the Dark Space Stone, Yuan Meteor Stone and Space Crystal. At least the Lingnan branch doesn't have them. Yuan Meteor Stone, Space Crystal, Dark Space Stone and 3-Star Stone were the most important materials to construct a teleportation array. The other materials weren't that important. Although they were rare, the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce had them. However, the problem now was that they didn't have the most important materials. Even if they had the other materials, they wouldn't be of much use. Seeing Murong Yu frown, Dong Yuan continued, although the Lingnan branch doesn't have them, the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce has them all over the immortal world. If Mr. Murong isn't in a hurry, I can contact the headquarters and other branches to help you gather the materials. What do you think? After pondering for a moment, Murong Yu could only nod his head. If the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce didn't have them, it would be difficult. Apart from these materials, can the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce gather the rest for me? Murong Yu asked. Although some of the materials are rare, with the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce's ability, we can gather them in a short time. 3 days. In 3 days we will be able to gather all the materials. Dong Yuan gritted his teeth and said after pondering for a moment. Murong Yu nodded, give me 10,000 jin of each. 10,000 jin of each? Dong Yuan staggered and almost fell off his chair. 10,000 jin. For ordinary materials, 10,000 jin wasn't a lot. It was considered very little. However, for some rare materials, not to mention 10,000 jin, even half a jin was definitely a sky-high price because those materials were too rare. However, Murong Yu needed to construct a teleportation array in the Shenzhen of the immortal world and the cultivation world. Although the materials added up to almost 1,000,000 jin, after refining, there shouldn't be much left. It should be enough to construct 2 teleportation arrays. What's wrong? Is it difficult? Murong Yu frowned. Of course not. However, there are some materials that the nearby branches don't have in stock. It will take some time to gather them. Dong Yuan said awkwardly. He had said that because he thought that Murong Yu didn't need many materials. Very good. I will come back to the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce in 3 days. I hope to hear good news then. Murong Yu stood up and prepared to leave. Oh yes, this immortal meridian will be the deposit. Morong Yu took out an immortal meridian from the Hichu Luoshu world and threw it to Dong Yuan. There were a lot of materials and some of them were very rare. Who knew how many immortal meridian would be used in the end? Therefore, Morong Yu gave Dong Yuan an immortal meridian as the deposit. With the reputation of the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce, they wouldn't take the immortal meridian for themselves. Dong Yuan heaved a sigh of relief when he saw that Morong Yu had given him an immortal meridian. When he had seen that Morong Yu was about to leave, he had almost called out to Morong Yu to stop him. After all, if he had gathered the materials and found that Morong Yu had disappeared, he would have suffered some losses. Now, even if Morong Yu didn't come back in 3 days, one immortal meridian would be enough for Dong Yuan. After leaving the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce, Morong Yu didn't leave immediately. Instead, he went to other chambers of commerce. This time, he went straight to the managers of the Chamber of Commerce and gave them missions. However, what made Morong Yu depressed was that these chambers of commerce didn't have yuan meteor stones, dark space stones, and other important materials. This shouldn't be. Even if these materials are rare, they shouldn't be extinct, right? Morong Yu walked out of the Chamber of Commerce, feeling very depressed. Hichu had said before that in ancient times, these materials were just ordinary materials. Why couldn't he find a single one now? Moreover, what made Morong Yu the most curious was that the immortal world didn't even have a transfer array. Otherwise, Morong Yu could have just destroyed those transfer arrays. Hichu, are you sure there aren't any transfer arrays in the immortal world? Morong Yu found Hichu and asked directly. On the surface there aren't any, but there should be transfer arrays in the immortal world. However, with your current strength and status, you won't be able to come into contact with them. You'd better go and find those materials obediently, Hichu said, as if he knew what Morong Yu was thinking. Morong Yu asked, what's the level of an expert that can create spatial crystals from space? If it's in the heaven realm, there will be spatial crystals if you casually break the void. However, in the immortal world, even if you break the void, there might not be any. This depends on the person's character. The space crystal was actually another form of existence of space. Just like ordinary crystals, they were formed by the void. We can only wait 3 days to see what the Pinnacle Merchant Guild has to say. If they don't even have one, then we'll try other merchant guilds. If they don't, Morong Yu frowned. If they couldn't find these materials, then they wouldn't be able to build a transfer array. Strange, the immortal world doesn't even have an immortal ascension stage. Hichu frowned. Immortal ascension stage? You're saying that the immortal ascension stage has these materials? Morong Yu asked hurriedly. There was an immortal ascension stage in the immortal world. If they had the materials, Morong Yu wouldn't mind destroying it. No, the immortal ascension stage I'm talking about is the immortal ascension stage in the immortal world. In ancient times, immortals who ascended from the immortal world would appear at a fixed place. It wasn't like now, where they would randomly appear in the millions of great continents of the immortal world. Because of this, immortals who ascended from the immortal world would often appear in forbidden or dangerous places. They wouldn't even have time to take a look at the immortal world before they mysteriously died. Fine, let's wait for news in Lingnan City. Morong Yu released Little Purple and the large black dog and began to walk around Lingnan City. At the same time, people from the Immortal Palace and the Heavenly Punisher Palace also appeared in Lingnan City. Chapter 447. After Morong Yu had destroyed the Black Civ Sect, a subsidiary of the Immortal Palace, the Black Civ Sect, the Immortal Palace had been enraged. They'd sent an even stronger subsidiary sect to hunt down Morong Yu. However, Morong Yu's whereabouts were mysterious. Who would have thought that after destroying the Black Civ Sect in Jian Province, he would appear in the distant Lingnan Province in the next moment? The distance between Lingnan Province and Jian Province was very far. No one knew that Morong Yu had come here after destroying the Black Civ Sect. Even though the Immortal Palace knew that Morongyu had the Hichu Luoshu, they only knew that Hichu Luoshu had the power to carry living people and machines. They didn't know that Hichu Luoshu could transport people. Therefore, after the Immortal Palace's subordinate sects couldn't find any trace of Morongyu in Jian Province, they searched for him in the nearby provinces. However, Morongyu wasn't there at all. How could they find him? After the information was sent back to the Immortal Palace, they became even more furious. They finally used the Immortal Palace's intelligence network. As one of the three giants of the Immortal World, the Immortal Palace's strength was terrifying. It didn't take long for them to find out Morongyu's identity. He was a disciple of the Heavenly Punisher Palace, and a punisher of the Huaxia cultivation world. Naturally, the Immortal Palace was furious. They already knew that Morongyu had destroyed the Black Civ sect. It was very likely that the Heavenly Punisher Palace was involved. After all, the two sects fought openly and covertly. The Immortal Palace had also destroyed some of the Heavenly Punisher Palace's subordinate sections. Although they were shocked by Morongyu's identity, the Immortal Palace didn't want to let Morongyu go. After all, so what if Morongyu was a disciple of the Heavenly Punisher Palace? The Immortal Palace wasn't afraid. Moreover, Morongyu was only an ordinary palace master in the Heavenly Punisher Palace. If they killed him, the Heavenly Punisher Palace wouldn't do anything. Even though Morongyu was a disciple that the Heavenly Punisher Palace focused on cultivating, for the sake of Hichu Luoshu, Morongyu had to be killed. Therefore, the people from the Immortal Palace came to Lingnan City. To be exact, it was an affiliated sect of the Immortal Palace. On the other side, Morongyu won 3 royal armaments from the Wind and Fire Cultivation World's MO on Mount Wuji of the Heavenly Retribution Palace. The great temptation of a royal armament finally caused some of the Heavenly Punisher Palace's disciples to be tempted. On the first day of Morongyu's arrival in Lingnan City, people from the Immortal Palace and the Heavenly Punishing Palace arrived at the same time. Their goal was Morongyu. At this time, Morongyu had just left the Chamber of Commerce, and was admiring the scenery of South Mountain City with Little Purple and the Big Black Dog. Not long after, Morongyu frowned slightly. He could vaguely feel a few hidden auras staring at him from behind. "We're being followed." Morongyu's lips curled into a sneer. This was not the first time he had been followed. As long as the other party was not too strong, he would. He would not take it seriously at all. As long as he wanted to, he could use Hichu Luoshu to quickly get rid of their tracking. Morongyu thought these people were just some small fries, and did not care at all. However, not long after, Morongyu's expression became serious, because he realized that there seemed to be more people following him than before, and they seemed to be very strong. At least, they were much stronger than him when he was in the exalted immortal realm. Morongyu furrowed his brows and stealthily brought Little Purple and the Big Black Dog to a forest. South Mountain City was thousands of miles wide, and not all of it was buildings. There were also many rivers, lakes, and mountain ranges. However, these mountain ranges were different from those in the wild. Because these mountain ranges did not have any danger, and there were no treasures or mystic realms in them. After all, they were all in South Mountain City. Even if there were any mystic realms, the dangers would have been destroyed by the immortals of South Mountain City. "Big brother, why did you bring us here?" Little Purple raised her head, and looked at Morongyu with eyes full of confusion. She did not even understand why they were in the bustling city just now. "You guys go back first." Morongyu looked at Little Purple and smiled faintly. Then, with a wave of his hand, he sent them back to the Hichu Luoshu world. "You've been following me for so long. Come out, all of you." Morongyu stood where he was and said indifferently, "As expected, you're not ordinary. You actually found us. However, you're too stupid. You found out that we were following you, but you didn't run away immediately. Do you think you can escape from us with your high immortal stage cultivation?" A young man looked at Morong Yu and sneered. He was a profound immortal. As soon as these people appeared, they deliberately spread out, and vaguely surrounded Morong Yu. However, they were not surprised at Little Purple and the big black dog's sudden disappearance. They must have known about Morong Yu. Seeing these people, Morong Yu did not speak and only frowned slightly. This was because he also found that other than these people, there was another group of people hiding in the dark, spying on them. If it's not their accomplices, then it's another group of people, and they're even stronger than these people. Morong Yu's expression suddenly became serious. Obviously, these people did not find the person hiding in the dark. It was obvious that the person hiding in the dark was the Oriole. Morong Yu sneered in his heart. No matter who you are, if you want to take my life, you should be prepared to be killed by me. Who are you? Why are you following me? Morong Yu looked at the first group of people and said coldly. Why are you asking the obvious? Boy, hand over your treasures and we'll spare your life. The profound immortal who spoke before stepped forward and looked at Morong Yu with disdain. Morong Yu narrowed his eyes slightly. You're from the Immortal Palace? Since you know who we are, then why don't you obediently hand over your treasures? The profound immortal sneered. Morong Yu sneered. Who do you think you are? The Immortal Palace? Even if you're a disciple of the Immortal Palace, don't think you can get a single hair from me, let alone the disciples of the Immortal Palace. If you know what's good for you, then get out of here, or I don't mind destroying you, just like the Black Civ sect. Boy, you're not strong, but you're arrogant. How can we be compared to trash like the Black Civ sect? You're so slow, you're courting death. The profound immortal said impatiently and reached out his hand to grab Morong Yu. You're courting death. Morong Yu coldly snorted. His figure didn't dodge as he charged forward. In the process, he threw out a punch. Elephant drawing fist. Don't kill him, just capture him. At this moment, a profound immortal who seemed to be the leader said. The young profound immortal sneered. Just a mere exalted immortal, I'll take him down. Is that so? Morong Yu sneered as his hand shot out at an even faster speed. Boom. Just when the two fists collided, the Xian immortal thought that he could break Morong Yu's arm with a single punch. However, he felt a sharp pain in his hand. What? Impossible! The young profound immortal felt strange and couldn't help but look at his arm. After taking a look, his face immediately revealed an extremely horrified expression, because he saw that his arm had disappeared for no reason. Yes, it had disappeared. Not good, there's something wrong with this boy. The young profound immortal roared and was about to retreat. But at this moment, Morong Yu's fist had already landed on his body. Puff! A burst of fire that was almost invisible to the naked eye enveloped the young profound immortal, and then he disappeared in front of everyone's eyes. He disappeared? How is that possible? Seeing this scene, whether it was the young Xian immortal or those who were hiding in the back, they were all shocked. There's no aura. He seems to have been killed. The young profound immortal's companions were shocked because they realized that the young profound immortal's aura was gone. There was only one possibility, the young Xian immortal was already dead. But they weren't sure because Morong Yu was only a exalted immortal. How could he kill a profound immortal who was 2 realms lower than him? And the strangest thing was that they clearly saw the young profound immortal disappear into thin air. Even if Morong Yu could kill the young profound immortal in one hit, he couldn't have left nothing behind. Could it be that he put the young profound immortal into his space magic treasure? This thought appeared in everyone's mind. Boy, let our man out. An immortal looked at Morong Yu with a gloomy face. Idiot! Morong Yu looked at him like he was an idiot. Although I have a magic treasure that can carry living people, would I be stupid enough to put a profound immortal in it? Don't forget, my man is still in there. He's already been killed by me, and there's nothing left of him. Arrogant. Everyone didn't believe him. You don't believe me? You can come out and try. Do you have the guts to come out and try? Murong Yu pointed at another profound immortal with a look of disdain. It couldn't be helped, the weakest among them was a profound immortal. If Murong Yu wanted to intimidate them, he could only choose a profound immortal. Why wouldn't I dare? The profound immortal who was called out jumped out and looked at Murong Yu with a murderous look. He threw a punch at him. Heh, don't blame me if you die. Murong Yu sneered and threw 1,000-army elephant-pulling fist. At this moment, everyone stared at Murong Yu without blinking. Open your dog eyes and see clearly how I'm going to kill this idiot, Murong Yu coldly shouted. His invincible divine fist directly smashed into the profound immortal's hand. Just like the previous Xian immortal, when their hands touched, the Xian immortal's hand disappeared into thin air. At the same time, Murong Yu abruptly took a step forward and ruthlessly punched his opponent's body with lightning speed. The weak flame flashed and disappeared. The young Xian immortal screamed and disappeared again. Was he really killed with a single punch? Everyone was extremely shocked when they saw this scene. Chapter 448. Murong Yu was only an exalted immortal with the strength of a golden immortal. It was impossible for him to have the strength of a mystic immortal. Could it be that he had broken through? In fact, Murong Yu had not broken through. He was still an exalted immortal. It was just that he had comprehended something recently. It was not Murong Yu's true strength that killed a mystic immortal, but the yin-yang flame. The yin-yang flame was said to be able to burn the world. For a long time, Murong Yu had to use the yin-yang cauldron to kill his enemies. This was because the yin-yang flame was stored in the cauldron. However, recently, Murong Yu could cover his body with the yin-yang flame without using the cauldron. In other words, Murong Yu could kill his enemies with the yin-yang flame without using the cauldron. When Murong Yu killed the two mystic immortals, the weak flame was the yin-yang flame that burned the two unlucky mystic immortals to death. However, the crowd didn't know. Although they saw a weak flash of fire, they didn't know. They only thought that it was the light from Murong Yu's battle skill. Therefore, they all thought that Murong Yu had killed a mystic immortal with a single punch. Shocking, absolutely shocking. An exalted immortal killed a mystic immortal with a single punch? This was too shocking. For a moment, the people from the Immortal Palace and those who were hiding were all shocked. Damn it, why is his strength so terrifying? The people hiding in the distance roared in their hearts. However, even so, they did not leave. After all, Murong Yu had a royal weapon. Even if Murong Yu was several times stronger, they would still kill Murong Yu and take the royal weapon. Although the people from the Immortal Palace were shocked, they were only shocked for a moment. They were not afraid of Murong Yu. This was because a mystic immortal was the weakest in their group. Murong Yu could kill a mystic immortal in an instant. Perhaps he could kill an overarching heavenly supreme immortal. Could he kill one? Or even a 9 heavens mystic immortal? Take him down! The leader of the immortals shouted as he looked at Murong Yu. Boom! 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 The moment the leading immortal spoke, everyone from the Immortal Palace made their move. One by one, they stretched out their big hands to grab Murong Yu. Murong Yu's face revealed a look of disdain. These guys, it seems like I haven't intimidated them enough. Since that's the case, let's do something even bigger. While sneering, Murong Yu made a grabbing motion in the air. Immediately, an immortal sword emitting a powerful aura appeared in his hand. As soon as the divine weapon appeared, a terrifying aura erupted, shocking everyone. This is a high-level magic weapon. When they saw the magic weapon in Murong Yu's hand, the people of the Immortal Palace were overjoyed. All of them felt that the divine weapon in Murong Yu's hand was a king weapon because they felt that with Murong Yu's status, it was impossible for him to have a divine weapon. All of you, go to hell! With the king weapon in his hand, Murong Yu felt unprecedentedly powerful. A terrifying aura erupted, followed by a blinding light. A sword ray that was filled with a terrifying aura shot out and tore the void apart. Die! Murong-Yu shouted as he viciously slashed the sword at the people of the Immortal Palace. At that moment, the aura of a royal armament burst forth. It tore apart heaven and earth, and a terrifying crack appeared in the air. With a horrifying aura that could destroy the world, the royal armament fiercely slashed down. This is? The people of the Immortal Palace were shocked. They could only feel a terrifying and dangerous aura rushing toward them. Run! At this moment, this was the only thought that appeared in their minds. However, how could these Xian Celestials, overarching Heavenly Supreme Celestials, and great overarching Golden Celestials escape the attack of the King Weapon? Poof! The terrifying sword light slashed down directly. Before the people of the Immortal Palace could react, they had already been slashed into clouds of blood mist by this terrifying sword light and exploded in the void. One slash. With just one slash, all the disciples of the Immortal Palace, regardless of whether they were Xian Celestials, overarching Heavenly Supreme Celestials, great overarching Golden Celestials, or even 9 Heaven Xian Celestials, were killed. Only the 9 Heaven Xian Celestial, who was the leader, reacted immediately. He immediately soared into the sky and dodged the attack of the King Weapon. Even so, he was still severely injured by the power of the King Weapon. King Weapon! At this moment, he was finally certain that the divine weapon in Murong-Yu's hand was a King Weapon. The 9 Heaven Xian Celestial looked at Murong-Yu in disbelief. Murong-Yu looked up at the 9 Heavens Xian Celestial in the void. He felt slightly depressed and regretful. The slash of the sword had consumed more than half of his strength. Even if he could still slash with the sword, the 9 Heaven Xian Celestial was too far away from him. If he reacted in time, he would be able to escape. Fly! Murong-Yu felt helpless. If he could fly, none of the people of the Immortal Palace would be able to escape. Unfortunately, he had not reached the Golden Immortal Realm. Even if he could fly with the sword kinesis flight, the speed of a turtle, forget it. Forget it. After this, I'll ask Hichu if he has any flying technique. After Murong-Yu made up his mind, he calmly stood where he was. Murong-Yu has a king weapon. This matter needs to be reported. If there is no immortal king, we are no match for him. The 9 Heaven Xian Celestial did not stay there. Instead, he flew away. The king weapon is indeed with this kid. With his strength, he can only use it once. It's impossible to use it twice. This time, we will definitely get the king weapon. Seeing the power of the king weapon, the people hiding in the dark were shocked, but more than that, they were happy. This was because they believed that Murong-Yu's king weapon would soon be theirs. Come on out. Murong-Yu stood in place with a calm expression on his face. However, his face was a little pale, as if he could not continue. He actually discovered us? The people hiding in the dark were shocked. They could not imagine how Murong-Yu could discover their existence. One had to know that with their concealment skills, even the 9 Heaven Xian Celestial experts of the Immortal Palace would not be able to discover them. However, since they had already been discovered, they no longer hid. Even if Murong-Yu did not discover them, they would not continue to hide. Good kid, you were actually able to discover us. Not bad. However, you will definitely die today. A group of people walked out from the dark. Many people have said this to me before, but the one who died was the one who said it. You are no exception. Murong-Yu stood where he was and coldly looked at these people. The moment these people came out, they looked greedily at the king weapon in Murong-Yu's hand. They did not hide their greed and covetousness. Kid, hand over all your king weapons and we will let you live. How about it? An expert looked greedily at Murong-Yu. Murong-Yu frowned. You are the disciples of the Heavenly Punisher Palace? Murong-Yu had king weapons in his hand and more than one. This was something that only the people of the Heavenly Punisher Palace knew about. Perhaps even the people of the Immortal Palace did not know about it. Thus, Morong Yu was able to guess their identities the moment they said those words. You are indeed smart. However, people who are too smart often die young. An immortal sneered. Morong Yu was disdainful. Just with you? You must have seen the power of the king weapon, right? I can kill all of you with one sword. Ha ha! Hearing this, the disciples of the heavenly Punisher Palace all laugh. With your strength as an exalted immortal, you can only use the king weapon once. Can you use it a second time? If you can use the king weapon infinitely, we will turn around and leave. However, you can't. Morong Yu revealed a smile with a trace of disdain. Do you really think that I can't continue using the king weapon? As he spoke, Morong Yu's body staggered a few times, as if he could collapse at any time. In the eyes of the other party, this was the appearance of someone who had exhausted all of his strength. Why are you talking so much nonsense with him? Just kill him. A disciple of the heavenly Punisher Palace impatiently walked out and punched at Morong Yu. Sigh, a group of reckless people. Originally, I didn't want to kill you because we are all disciples of the heavenly Punisher Palace. However, since you insist on dying, I will fulfill your wish. As he spoke, Morong Yu fiercely pointed at the king weapon that was inserted into the ground. Rumble! The king weapon exploded with a terrifying light, and the aura of an immortal king soared into the sky. What? Impossible! How can he still use the king weapon? A disciple of the heavenly Punisher Palace shouted. Die! Morong Yu shouted and slashed out with the king weapon. Puff! Just like the people of the Immortal Palace, these people were much stronger than the people of the Immortal Palace. However, in front of an expert who had not reached the Immortal King realm, they could not withstand a single blow from the king weapon. With a slash of the sword, the void was torn apart, and clouds of blood mist bloomed in the void. After a long time, the powerful aura gradually dissipated. In this area, there was no other person besides Morong Yu. Even Morong Yu disappeared into thin air after killing the people of the heavenly Punisher Palace. Plop! Morong Yu had just entered the Hichu Luoshu when he fell to the ground. Using the king weapon twice in a row had exhausted all of his strength. Even with the Tree of Life replenishing him, he could not replenish his strength in time. The moment Morong Yu disappeared, several figures also landed in this mountain range. There is the aura of an immortal king. No, this is the aura of a king weapon. A person with a king weapon is fighting here? So many people have died? King weapon, it is actually a king weapon. The person who came looked around excitedly, as if he wanted to find some traces. Not long after, several more figures landed here. It seemed that Morong Yu's use of the king weapon had alarmed some experts in Lingnan City. Fortunately, Morong Yu had returned to the Hichu Luoshu world. Otherwise, the consequences would have been unimaginable. Chapter 449. Morong Yu fought with the disciples of the Immortal Palace and the Heavenly Punisher Palace in Lingnan City, and relied on the power of the royal armament to kill all the enemies. This matter was not a secret, and within a day, it had already spread in Lingnan City. After all, Lingnan City was one of the major cities in the immortal world, and there were countless experts and countless people who could reach the heavens. It was basically impossible for Morong Yu to hide from their eyes and ears. Of course, these people did not reveal Morong Yu's true identity. After all, once his identity as a disciple of the Heavenly Punisher Palace was revealed, many people would have scruples. Therefore, even if there were people who knew Morong Yu's true identity, they did not say it. Even if they killed Morong Yu in the end and snatched Morong Yu's royal armament, and the people of the Heavenly Punisher Palace came to settle the score, they could deny it. If they said that they did not know Morong Yu's identity, then the people of the Heavenly Punisher Palace would have no excuse to settle the score. Therefore, within a day, many immortals and many forces in Lingnan City were ready to make a move. One by one, they wanted to snatch Morong Yu's royal armament. Royal armament! Even immortal kings were tempted by a divine weapon. Even third-rate forces could not help but be tempted. However, for a few days, Murong-yu seemed to have disappeared into thin air, and there was no trace of him at all. Then where was Murong-yu? Murong-yu was in the Hichu Luoshu world. At this time, the power that was exhausted from using the royal armament had long been restored. However, he was still in the Hichu Luoshu world and had not left. It had been a long time since he ascended to the immortal world, but Murong-yu's strength was still in the exalted immortal realm. His strength was too weak, which made him very depressed. What made him most helpless was that he could not fly in a battle with experts of the golden immortal realm or above, which made him very embarrassed. For example, the 9-heaven Xian immortal from the immortal palace was able to escape Murong-yu's attack because he could fly. Murong-yu's speed was fast, but he could only run on the ground. It was useless against the experts in the void. Even if he used a royal armament, he would still be able to kill his enemies from a distance. However, this distance was limited. Once they flew too high or too far away, Murong-yu would not be able to do anything. Therefore, Murong-yu had to find a cultivation method that could allow him to fly before he reached the golden immortal realm. Even if the speed was a little slower, it didn't matter. The main thing was that it could fly. Generally speaking, people don't need to cultivate special flying techniques because there is no need to. Even if there are some cultivation methods that allow flight, they are too trashy and useless, Hichu said after pondering for a long time. In the immortal world, due to the rules of the immortal world, only perfected golden immortals could fly. Flying below the perfected golden immortal realm was against the rules of the immortal world. This was not allowed by the rules of the immortal world. Even if there was a cultivation method, it was only trash. It was useless in battle or even in traveling. Is there really no way to fly? Murong-yu frowned slightly. You can fly on a sword. Some magic treasures also have the ability to fly, Hichu said. Flying on a sword. This was the flying method of the lower realm when the cultivation world was not strong. No one in the immortal world did this, because the speed was too slow. Flying on a sword not only depended on the strength of the cultivator, but also had a direct relationship with the strength of the immortal sword. Forget it. Murong-yu shook his head. Even Hichu did not have one, which made him feel surprised. Let's improve our strength first. Although he had killed some 9-heaven Xian immortals with the help of the Yin-Yang fire and the royal weapon, Murong-yu knew that he could only show off for a while. After 1 or 2 times, he was absent-minded. If it were not for Hichu Luoshu, his situation would be very dangerous. Moreover, Murong-yu also knew that the news of him having a royal weapon had spread. In this way, many people and many forces would pay attention to him. Magic treasures and divine weapons may be powerful, but the most powerful thing is still one's own strength. Murong-yu sat down cross-legged and burned his immortal meridians. He began to accelerate time. This time, he must break through to the golden immortal realm before coming out of seclusion. However, how could it be so easy to break through the chaotic celestial record? 1 year, 10 years, 100 years, 200 years. When Murong-yu cultivated for 200 years, boom! After a loud explosion, an extremely terrifying aura burst out from Murong-yu's body and soared into the sky. It was very terrifying. Rumble, when Murong-yu's body erupted with a terrifying aura that could destroy the world, the void above his head was torn apart. Then, the shadow of a winged dragon appeared in the void and roared at the sky. One after another, the shadows of winged dragons appeared above Murong-yu's head. 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 7,000, 9,000. In the end, there were 10,000 winged dragons hovering above Murong-yu's head. 10,000 dragon power. The dragon power that had disappeared for a long time reappeared above Murong-yu's head. If an outsider were to see the densely packed rain dragon silhouettes hovering above Murong-yu's head, they'd definitely be shocked. How could this kid have so much dragon power? Unlike the cultivation world's maximum of 99, the immortal world's dragon power had reached 10,000. 10,000 was the limit. In the immortal world, the winged dragon was the lowest level of dragon power. Sky immortals, exalted immortals, golden immortals, and Xian immortals all had the winged dragon power. Ordinary sky immortals only had 1,000 dragon power at most. After becoming an exalted immortal, the winged dragon's dragon power would be between 1,000 and 3,000. As for the golden immortal stage, which was Murong Yu's current cultivation base, the winged dragon's dragon power would only be between 3,000 and 6,000. The more talented a person was, the more dragon power they would have. Those who could reach 6,000 dragon power at the golden immortal stage were definitely geniuses among geniuses. However, Murong Yu's current situation was a little strange. Not only had his dragon power exceeded the limit of 6,000, but it had also reached the limit of 10,000 dragon power that even mystic immortals could not reach. It was extremely powerful. In other words, Murong Yu's current strength had surpassed that of a mystic immortal. He was invincible among those below the overarching heavenly supreme celestial. If he were to fight against the mystic immortals from the celestial palace, he would not even need the yin-yang flame to kill them. This was his current strength. 10,000 dragon power. If I'm not mistaken, I should be invincible among those below the overarching heavenly supreme celestial. Murong Yu slowly stood up and sighed in relief. At the same time, the winged dragon's dragon power that was hovering above his head dissipated into the void. In the celestial realm, the dragon power would not be displayed in battles. Unless you were so powerful that you were not afraid of being seen through by your opponent. Otherwise, you would be courting death. During a battle, who would reveal their strength to their enemy? Of course, in the cultivation world, the dragon power would be displayed when they used their strength. This was because they were still unable to control the dragon power. The second level of the chaotic celestial record. Murong Yu was happy and depressed after he had broken through. There were 9 levels in the chaotic celestial record. He had only broken through to the second level of the second level. When would he reach the peak? However, Murong Yu knew that he could not rush the path of cultivation. If he cultivated slowly, he would reach the peak one day. The strength of a late-stage golden immortal and a profound immortal. My lifespan. What a long lifespan. Murong Yu felt his own lifespan and was shocked by what he saw. 2 billion years. He had a lifespan of 2 billion years. It was impossible for Murong Yu not to be shocked. After all, a great overarching golden immortal only had a lifespan of 10 billion years. A golden immortal only had a lifespan of 50 million years. Murong Yu's lifespan was 40 times longer than a golden immortal of the same stage. It was even longer than the lifespan of an overarching heavenly supreme celestial. After recovering from his shock, Murong Yu was even more confident that he would be able to cultivate the chaotic celestial record to the peak. Apart from that, Murong Yu also saw that the tree of life in his dantian had grown to a height of 10,000 miles. At the same time, his dantian was also enlarged. The chaotic energy that the tree of life devours and transforms is more than 10,000 times stronger than before. My body has also become a grade 6 celestial artifact. Murong Yu could not help but laugh when he realized how powerful he was. Now, Murong Yu could even fight against an overarching heavenly supreme celestial. With the help of his other treasures, Murong Yu might even be able to kill an overarching heavenly supreme celestial who was not very strong. At this moment, Murong Yu was so excited that he almost wanted to leave Hichu Luoshu and fight with the people from the celestial palace. Just as Murong Yu was about to leave Hichu Luoshu, he sensed something. Then, an expression of joy appeared on his face. The Army Seal formula has also broken through? The Army Seal formula and the Battle Seal formula did not have different grades. However, at this moment, Morong-yu could clearly feel that the army seal formula was about to break through. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Morong-yu's body turned into a black shadow as he unleashed the army seal formula to its limit. He began to run rapidly in the Hichu Luoshu world. I can feel it. I'm about to break through. I'm only one step away from breaking through. As he ran, Morong-yu's speed increased. Soon, Morong-yu's figure could no longer be seen. Rumble! All of a sudden, a violent and powerful aura erupted from Morong-yu's body. At the same time, Morong-yu, who was originally running on the ground, suddenly soared into the air. Then, he started flying in the air. If someone were to see this scene, they would be shocked. How could a golden celestial fly in the air? After making a breakthrough in the soldier symbol formula, I can now fly? Morong-yu was astonished after flying for a while. No, this doesn't seem right. Morong-yu furrowed his brows. When he turned around to look, he saw a large black mass suddenly appear behind him. Wings? A birdman? When Morong-yu saw the pair of black wings on his back, he couldn't help but feel dizzy for a moment. He almost fell from the sky. Chapter 450. A pair of black wings appeared out of thin air behind Morong-yu. The wings weren't big, only about 2 meters long. They were perfectly proportioned with Morong-yu's body when stretched out. The black wings seemed to be made of pure energy, and there were traces of electric arcs flashing in the black. Morong-yu felt dizzy for a moment. He staggered and almost fell from the sky. However, just as he staggered, the pair of wings on his back involuntarily flickered. Then, Morong-yu's body continued to float steadily in the air. I've become a birdman. Morong-yu was speechless, but at the same time, he was very curious. He didn't even know how the wings appeared. Although he already knew that these wings were condensed from power, he had a feeling that they were connected to him by flesh and blood, as if these wings were a part of his body. The army formula. A message appeared in Morong-yu's mind. Immediately, Morong-yu knew that the wings were formed after the army formula broke through. In other words, the wings were the manifestation of the second stage of the army formula. Phantom light wings. This was the name of the wings on Morong-yu's back. The army formula can actually break through. The second stage is the phantom light wings. Then, is there a third or fourth stage? Morong-yu was curious. All along, the army formula would increase with his strength, and the speed would also increase. This was a normal situation. Morong-yu didn't expect the army formula to be like this. Then, if the army formula was like this, would the Do formula be the same? The Do formula was used to increase combat power. Under Morong-yu's continuous use, the Do formula could now increase his strength by 2 times. However, Morong-yu knew that this was not the peak. As long as he continued to cultivate the Do formula, the increase would only increase. I wonder if the phantom light wings can fly in the immortal world? After testing the speed of the phantom light wings in Hichu Luoshu, Morong-yu reappeared in the immortal world. However, this time, he didn't appear in Lingnan province. Instead, he appeared in a wasteland far away from Lingnan province. With a thought, the phantom light wings appeared on Morong-yu's back out of thin air. Then, the phantom light wings fiercely flapped, whoosh. Morong-yu immediately soared into the sky and flapped his wings a few times. In the next instant, Morong-yu appeared in a place several tens of millions of miles away. This speed is too fast. Morong-yu was very excited that the phantom light wings could allow him to fly in the immortal world. But the speed of the wings 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 of the wings. The appearance of the phantom light wings not only allowed Morong-yu to freely soar in the sky, but also increased his speed by more than 10 times. For example, if Morong-yu's speed was comparable to that of a running mule before the phantom light wings, then the current him was like a 1,000-mile horse. The difference was like the difference between heaven and earth. Haha, although I've become a birdman this time, My speed has increased. The most important thing is that I can fly. Now I'm not even afraid of golden immortals. After seeing the speed of golden immortals and Xian immortals of the 9 heavens, Morong Yu was confident that even golden immortals couldn't catch up to him. Even if he couldn't defeat Xian immortals of the 9 heavens, Morong Yu didn't need to escape into Hichu Luoshu. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Morong Yu constantly flew in the air, familiarizing himself with the phantom light wings. Boom! Suddenly, a monstrous aura erupted from the depths of the mountain. Then, a large hand condensed from power reached out from the depths of the mountain and grabbed at Morong Yu. Good timing! Morong Yu shouted and grabbed at the void. Suddenly, the phoenix spear appeared in his hand. At the same time, the wings on his back flapped fiercely. Suddenly, his whole body turned into a stream of light and rushed toward the large hand that was quickly grabbing at him. During this process, the long spear in his hand burst out a dazzling black light, transforming into a terrifying spear light that almost pierced through the void and stabbed at the large hand. Boom! Although the large hand was extremely powerful, its power was monstrous. However, Morong Yu dove downwards with the momentum of a dive. After a deafening explosion, the large hand that had reached out from the depths of the mountain was shattered by Morong Yu's spear. However, Morong Yu did not have it easy. He was pushed back by the terrifying force. Although his body was a grade 6 celestial weapon, he still felt pain from the impact. A powerful force surged into Morong Yu's body. Morong Yu felt a sweet taste in his mouth, and he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. What a powerful force! Morong Yu was shocked. He had attacked with all his might earlier. Although he had managed to shatter the large hand, he had also been injured by the backlash. This person was at least an overarching heavenly supreme celestial. A young man on the ground looked at Morong Yu with bright eyes as he said, "Good boy. You're only a golden celestial, but you're so powerful." Not only is he so powerful, but he also has a pair of wings. He can already soar in the sky as a golden celestial. If I can kill this boy and take his cultivation method, I can also soar in the sky. I might even break through to the great overarching golden celestial stage. Su Liang's face was filled with greed as he looked at Morong Yu. Su Liang had been stuck at the overarching heavenly supreme celestial stage for many years, unable to break through to the great overarching golden celestial stage. Apart from the fact that he was a sectless cultivator and did not have many resources, there was also the hurdle of becoming a great overarching golden celestial. Although there were many celestials in the celestial world, the great overarching golden celestial stage was definitely a hurdle for many celestials. In fact, every stage was a huge hurdle. He had been stuck at the overarching heavenly supreme celestial stage for many years, and his lifespan was running out. All these years, he had been cultivating in seclusion to break through to the great overarching golden celestial stage. However, how could it be so easy to break through to the great overarching golden celestial stage? Su Liang grew more and more frustrated as he watched his lifespan dwindle. However, he still could not break through to the next stage. On this day, he was interrupted by a burst of wild laughter. It was Morong Yu's excited laughter. Su Liang angrily walked out of the cave where he was in seclusion. When he saw Morong Yu in the sky, he couldn't help being shocked. The anger in his heart was instantly extinguished. Only great overarching golden celestials could fly in the celestial world. If this person could fly in the celestial world, it meant that he was a great overarching golden celestial, someone who could kill him with a slap. However, he soon discovered something strange. This guy had a pair of wings on his back. Could he be from the demon clan? Su Liang suppressed the fury in his heart as he observed Morong Yu. In the next instant, Su Liang discovered that Morong Yu was an incomparably pure human. His wings also seemed to be condensed from energy. Most importantly, Morong Yu was only at the golden celestial stage. A golden celestial stage cultivator could fly because of his wings. This guy is not simple. If I kill him, I can get his cultivation method. Perhaps I can take the opportunity to break through to the great overarching golden celestial stage. Even if I can't break through, as long as I get his wings, my strength will definitely increase. At that time, I can go and seize more resources so that I can break through to the great overarching golden celestial stage. Therefore, Su Liang decisively made a move. However, what shocked him was that although he did not use his full strength, his palm was shattered by Morong Yu's spear. Although he did not use his full strength, he still had 60% of his strength. After the shock, Su Liang became more and more excited. The stronger Morong Yu was, the more extraordinary his cultivation method was. As long as he killed Morong Yu, he might be able to break through to the great overarching golden celestial stage. In fact, Su Liang's idea was not bad. If he could really kill Morong Yu, not to mention the great overarching golden celestial, even the 9 heavens mystic celestial, immortal king, or even the immortal emperor could be cultivated. However, did he have the ability to kill Morong Yu? Eat my spear. The tree of life in Morong Yu's dantian gushed out a large amount of life force like a stormy sea, instantly healing Morong Yu's injuries. At the same time, Morong Yu shouted loudly, and his whole body turned into a ray of light and rushed down. You're courting death. Su Liang's eyes flashed. He was very disdainful of Morong Yu's attack, but at the same time, he was very happy. He was not afraid of Morong Yu's attack. He was only afraid that Morong Yu would escape. He stomped his foot on the ground fiercely, and a huge force erupted from the soles of his feet, shattering a mountain below. At the same time, Su Liang borrowed the force and rushed straight toward Morong Yu. Halfway, Su Liang hugged his arms and then pushed out fiercely. Boom! After a loud explosion, the surrounding void trembled violently, almost tearing it apart. A strong force surged, and Morong Yu was sent flying again. As for Su Liang, he fell to the ground again due to the lack of strength. A surge of life force quickly flowed through Morong Yu's body and healed his injuries. Haha! An overarching heavenly supreme celestial is only SOSO. At the same time, Morong Yu also realized the benefits of having the phantom light wings. Overarching heavenly supreme celestials could not fly. If Morong Yu used the phantom light wings well, he could exhaust Su Liang to death. Perhaps Su Liang realized his shortcomings, so he calmed down and looked at Morong Yu indifferently as he said, "What a boast! Boy, hand over your cultivation method, and I'll spare your life." You want my cultivation method? You'll have to be alive to take it. However, judging from your appearance, I don't think you'll be alive to take it, Morong Yu said disdainfully. Since I've just mastered the phantom light wings, I'll use you, an overarching heavenly supreme celestial, to practice, Morong Yu said with a laugh. Then, he flapped his phantom light wings and charged toward Su Liang again. Su Liang was furious and struck with his palm. Ha ha! Morong Yu laughed. The advantages of the phantom light wings were fully displayed. In just a blink of an eye, he disappeared from where he was standing and dodged Su Liang's attack. Then, he appeared on the other side and shot a spear ray at Su Liang. Chapter 451. Su Liang was infuriated. He turned around and threw a punch at Morong Yu's spear ray. A terrifying force exploded and shattered Morong Yu's spear ray. On the other hand, Su Liang's hand didn't stop at all as it boldly charged towards Morong Yu. With a flap of Morong Yu's illusory wings, he disappeared from where he stood. Not only did he dodge Su Liang's attack, but he also appeared on the other side of Su Liang. Dragon Elephant Prajna Technique. Tiger Roaring Imperial Fist. Morong Yu's illusory wings flapped unceasingly, increasing his speed. Soon after, Morong Yu's figure could no longer be seen. All that could be seen was a black shadow that spun rapidly around Su Liang. During this time, Morong Yu had unleashed all the combat skills he knew. Terrifying energy kept surging out of his body, causing Su Liang to roar in pain. Morong Yu's speed was simply too fast. Su Liang was a mastery overarching heavenly supreme celestial, 2 stages higher than Morong Yu. However, Morong Yu was also invincible among those below the overarching heavenly supreme celestial level. In fact, the difference between the two of them was only 1 stage. Even so, Morong Yu's attacks could not hurt Su Liang. After all, Su Liang's cultivation base was much higher than Morong Yu's. Morong Yu might be able to injure an early overarching heavenly supreme celestial, but it would be difficult for him to injure Su Liang. Even so, Su Liang's face was covered in dust from Morong Yu's attacks. Although he was not injured, he was still 2 stages higher than Morong Yu. How could he not be enraged when he was defeated by Morong Yu? What infuriated Su Liang the most was Morong Yu's speed. He could not attack Morong Yu at all. Su Liang roared furiously, "Little brat, I'm going to kill you." Rumble. All of a sudden, Su Liang threw a pill into his mouth. Then, after a loud bang, an extremely terrifying aura suddenly erupted from his body. Rip. Just as the aura on his body abruptly increased, the clothes on his body were torn to shreds by this sudden burst of power. Pooh! Just as Su Liang swallowed the pill and his aura skyrocketed, Morong Yu rushed up. However, before he could even get close to Su Liang, a powerful force slammed into Morong Yu's body. Morong Yu felt a burst of dizziness, as if he had bumped into a divine mountain, and all the bones in his body seemed to have been shattered. His body was sent flying by the impact. Spitting out a mouthful of blood, Morong Yu's eyes revealed a look of horror. What a terrifying aura! Could it be that he has already reached the golden immortal stage? Yes, the aura that erupted from Su Liang's body had reached the golden immortal realm. Perhaps this was related to him swallowing that pill. That pill must be a miraculous pill that could increase one's strength for a short period of time. Su Liang was originally an overarching heavenly supreme celestial. Now that his strength had been boosted, he had reached the golden immortal stage. There was a gap of 3 stages between him and Morong Yu. The difference of 3 major realms had already exceeded Morong Yu's tolerance. Therefore, he was hit by the power that Su Liang emitted and was injured. If Su Liang's punch landed on Morong Yu, he would most likely be smashed into pieces. Fist shattering heaven and earth. Su Liang's expression was ferocious as he suddenly rose into the air and threw a punch at Morong Yu. A stream of energy the size of a river erupted from Su Liang's fist, tearing the void apart. Like a divine dragon, it roared as it pounced towards Morong Yu. Morong Yu was shocked. By the time he regained his senses, the force had already arrived in front of him and was about to swallow him whole. 1,000 army elephant drawing fist. Morong Yu did not even have time to react. He could only throw a punch. Crack. Poof. Morong Yu's fist fiercely collided with his opponent's power. A frightening power came crashing over like a stormy sea. Morong Yu felt a sharp pain in his arm and discovered that his arm had been broken, inch by inch. Su Liang's force did not stop at all as it landed on Morong Yu's body. Morong Yu spat out a mouthful of blood. At this moment, his clothes were completely shredded. Even his body, which had reached the level of a grade 6 celestial artifact, was cracked by the terrifying force. What a terrifying force! Morong Yu spat out another mouthful of blood with a horrified expression on his face. His illusory light wings flapped rapidly as he turned around to flee. Su Liang, who had temporarily reached the golden immortal stage after consuming the pill, had far exceeded Morong Yu's limit. He could not withstand a single blow from Su Liang and could only flee. "Where do you think you're going?" Su Liang was furious and chased after him in the air. He, who had temporarily reached the golden immortal stage, had also obtained the power to fly. Fist sets the universe. Morong Yu's speed was so fast that even Su Liang, who had temporarily reached the golden immortal stage, could not catch up with him. Seeing that Morongyu was about to disappear in front of him, Su Liang gritted his teeth and threw out another punch. Bang! Morongyu, who was flying, seemed to have hit an iron plate and had no choice but to stop. Void seal. Morongyu revealed a look of astonishment. He was in the void. There were no obstacles in front of him, but he was blocked. It was obvious that Su Liang had the ability or battle skill to seal the void. Boy, I'm going to skin you alive today. Su Liang kept roaring and rushed up quickly. He used his battle skill and struck out waves of power at Morongyu. The pill he took was not without any side effects. Although it could temporarily allow him to enter the golden immortal stage, after a certain period of time, his realm would fall again. Moreover, it would also consume his strength. After taking the pill, it would take a long time for him to recover his peak strength. Taking this pill would be very fatal for Su Liang, who was in his current realm and lifespan. After all, Su Liang did not have much lifespan. Once his realm fell, it would be more difficult for him to break through to the golden immortal stage. However, after seeing Morongyu's terrifying speed, Su Liang resolutely swallowed this pill. As long as he took down Morongyu, he would have a more advanced cultivation method, and he could break through to the golden immortal stage. The premise was that he could take down Morongyu. Therefore, Su Liang's attack was extremely fast. In an instant, Morongyu was drowned by Su Liang's power. You want to kill me? You're not qualified. Morongyu sneered and directly took out Hichu Luoshu. It floated above his head and blocked Su Liang's attack. After the void was sealed, Morongyu's connection with Hichu Luoshu was cut off and he could not enter Hichu Luoshu. However, it would not have any effect on Morongyu taking out Hichu Luoshu. In addition to the fact that Hichu Luoshu was a great world, it also had the most important ability, defensive power. Hichu Luoshu's defensive power was extremely terrifying. Su Liang's attack was like a stormy sea, constantly surging over and drowning Morongyu. However, after these attacks fell on Hichu Luoshu, they were like clay oxen entering the sea and disappeared. What a magic treasure! Seeing the power of Hichu Luoshu, Su Liang was even more surprised. As long as I kill this kid, some of his things will be mine. Even if I don't have a powerful cultivation method, I can definitely enter the realm of Almighty Immortal just by relying on this powerful magic treasure. Su Liang roared in his heart, and the desire to kill Morongyu became even stronger. Why could a powerful magic treasure break through to the realm of Almighty Immortal? Don't forget that there was something called elixir in this world. Using Hichu Luoshu to exchange for the immortal expansion elixir, one could break through to a higher realm in one fell swoop. Obviously, this was Su Liang's idea. Great Vajra Chakra Seal. Lion's Seal. After Morongyu took out Hichu Luoshu, he calmly made 2 seals with amazing lethality. The 2 seals were as huge as divine mountains. They directly broke through the 9 heavens and smashed down on Su Liang. You're overestimating yourself. Su Liang sneered and punched out twice in a row. He actually broke the 2 seals with unparalleled power. Although the lethality of the 2 seals was terrifying, it also depended on the cultivator's cultivation. Morongyu's strength was not enough. Therefore, the seals he made could not hurt Su Liang, who was in the realm of Almighty Immortal. The yin-yang fire can be covered on the surface of the body. If I can cover the yin-yang fire on the surface of the power, then all my attacks will have the yin-yang fire. In this way, how many people in the world can block my attacks? Morongyu looked at the 2 seals that had been broken, and his eyes suddenly lit up. Void seal? Watch my yin-yang fire burn the void. Morongyu glanced at Su Liang, who was crazily attacking, and sneered in his heart. Then, he punched the void in front of him. With Morongyu's strength, it was absolutely impossible for him to blast open the void that was sealed by Su Liang. However, it was not necessarily true that he had the yin-yang fire. Crack! Like glass being shattered, the void in front of Murong Yu seemed to be shattered. A gap was directly burned by the yin-yang fire. Murong Yu's figure flashed and directly rushed out of the gap. What's going on? Su Liang was shocked. Murong Yu could actually break the void that was sealed by him with a punch? Is his strength stronger than mine? While Su Liang was shocked, Murong Yu had already flapped his phantom light wings, turned into a black stream of light, and flew away into the distance. Impossible! How can his strength be stronger than mine? It must be because of his magic treasure. Su Liang roared and quickly chased after him. Sealing the void was not unsolvable. As long as one was strong enough, one could break it. For example, the void that Su Liang, who was in the realm of Almighty Immortal, sealed could not trap an immortal in the realm of Nine Heavens Xian Immortal. An immortal in the realm of Nine Heavens Xian Immortal could break the void sealed by an Almighty Immortal with just a bump. This was the difference in strength. Chapter 452. Brat, I'm going to kill you. Looking at Murong Yu, who was about to disappear from his sight, Su Liang was furious and roared loudly. At the same time, he increased his speed and chased after Murong Yu. However, the more Su Liang chased, the angrier he became. Even though he had temporarily reached the Golden Immortal realm, he could still fly at the same speed as an ordinary Golden Immortal. However, Murong Yu's speed was extremely terrifying. Not long after, he had completely disappeared from Su Liang's sight. Ah! Seeing that he could no longer catch up to Murong Yu, Su Liang went crazy. He roared crazily with a face full of resentment. However, no matter how crazy Su Liang was, no matter how he treated Murong Yu didn't know. At this moment, Murong Yu was already far away from this mountain range. Haha, the phantom light wings. My speed is not only 10 times faster than before, but also dozens of times faster. With the phantom light wings, Golden Immortals can only eat dust behind my butt. Even the speed of a 9 Heaven Xian Immortal is far inferior to me. Even an Immortal King won't be able to catch up to me. After galloping all the way, Murong Yu didn't know how much distance he had traveled. He only had a feeling that even an Immortal King wouldn't be able to catch up to him if he galloped at full speed. Of course, speed was speed. An Immortal King was so powerful. Even if they couldn't catch up, they could still kill Murong Yu. The difference in strength couldn't be made up for with speed. An expert at the Golden Immortal Realm can easily seal the void and cut off his connection with Hichu Luoshu, preventing him from entering Hichu Luoshu. In that case, even if he had the Yin-Yang Cauldron, he wouldn't be able to guarantee his safety. However, now that I have the Phantom Light Wings, even if I face an Immortal King, I will have the ability to escape. Murong Yu laughed out loud and was very excited. Now, Murong Yu had another combat skill. At least, Hichu Luoshu was not his only means of escape. With a flash, Murong Yu entered Hichu Luoshu. When he reappeared, he was already in front of the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce. At this time, 3 days had passed, and Murong Yu prepared to go to the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce to collect the materials. However, the moment Murong Yu appeared at the entrance of the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce, he felt a few pairs of eyes on him. These guys haven't given up yet. Murong Yu frowned. Obviously, the people of the Immortal Palace and the Heavenly Penalty Palace had not given up on Murong Yu killing their people. On the contrary, Murong Yu had exposed his relationship with the royal soldier. Now, in addition to the people of the Celestial Palace and the Heavenly Penalty Palace, he was also targeted by many forces. If these people dare to make a move, they are courting death. Murong Yu sneered in his heart and stepped into the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce. Oh, Mr. Murong, you are finally here. As soon as he stepped into the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce, the manager of the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce, Dong Yuan, welcomed him warmly. As the manager of the Lingnan region of the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce, Dong Yuan's intelligence system was very developed. Soon, He found out about Murong Yu's identity and background. He also found out about Murong Yu's great power. Of course, as a Chamber of Commerce, it was natural for him to obtain information about a big customer. Dong Yuan did not think of doing anything to Murong Yu. However, he knew that the people outside were unfavorable to Murong Yu. Moreover, 3 days had passed, and he was worried that Murong Yu would not come to collect the materials because of the people outside. Why? Are you afraid that I won't come? Or are you afraid that I will purposely make trouble? Murong Yu looked at Dong Yuan and frowned slightly. Haha, with your identity, Mr. Murong, of course you won't purposely make trouble. Moreover, Mr. Murong is very powerful. Why wouldn't he come? Dong Yuan said with a smile. Murong Yu was an astute person. With a single thought, he knew that Dong Yuan already knew his identity. However, he was not afraid. If the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce dared to do anything to him, he did not mind having another enemy. So what if the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce was one of the top 10 chambers of commerce in the Immortal Realm? Murong Yu was not afraid of the powerful Immortal Palace. If there was another Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce, it would only be a little more troublesome. Moreover, the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce might not be willing to be his enemy. After all, the Chamber of Commerce prioritized profit. Are the materials ready? Murong Yu asked as he followed Dong Yuan in. Apart from those few, the rest have been prepared. Dong Yuan led Murong Yu to the room that he had been in previously and handed a few storage rings to Murong Yu. Murong Yu took a casual glance and realized that other than the space stone, the Yuan meteorite stone and the space crystal, the rest of the materials were ready. They even had the 3-star stone. However, there weren't many extremely precious materials like the 3-star stones. There were only a few of them. There was still a long way to go before they could reach 10,000 jin. The 3-star stone. Murong Yu frowned slightly. Dong Yuan smiled awkwardly and said, the 3-star stone is too precious and expensive. Most importantly, there is no market for it. We can only gather these few jin within 3 days. Dong Yuan was embarrassed. After all, he had promised Murong Yu that he could get 10,000 jin. However, he only had a few jin now. Murong Yu nodded slightly. The amount of these precious materials was not much. A few jin was enough. Not only that, without the Yuan meteor stones, even if he had other materials, it would be useless. Do you have any news about the Yuan meteorite stone and the space crystal? Murong Yu asked. I'm sorry, we don't have any information about these materials at the moment. These materials are too precious. Even if we have them, we might not be able to get them. Normally, these materials would be put up for auction. Auction? Murong Yu muttered to himself. Once an item was put up for auction, the final price would be several times higher. After a round of competition, the price would usually exceed its original value. Are there any similar materials in the auction recently? No. However, in 3 months, the World Auction House will hold a large-scale auction. These precious materials might be auctioned then. I remember that there was a space crystal in the previous auction. Dong Yuan looked at Murong Yu and said. His meaning was obvious. He wanted Murong Yu to attend the auction. Okay, I will go to the auction 3 months later. Murong Yu made up his mind instantly. However, he was a little depressed in his heart. A large-scale auction in the immortal world would definitely have many precious materials, weapons, and magic treasures. However, it would also require a certain amount of financial resources. Although Murong Yu had more than 10,000 immortal meridians, among which there were 2nd-grade and 3rd-grade immortal meridians, to some people in the immortal world, this amount of wealth was nothing. 10,000 low-grade immortal meridians, I wonder what I can buy at the auction? Murong Yu muttered to himself. He looked at Dong Yuan and asked, how big was the space crystal from the previous auction? What was its final value? About 5 kilograms, about 100 2nd-grade immortal meridians. Dong Yuan thought for a moment before replying. A second-grade immortal meridian was equivalent to 100 first-grade immortal meridians. In other words, the 5-kilogram space crystal was worth an entire night's worth of first-grade immortal meridians. This was extremely valuable. Moreover, the space crystal was only 5 kilograms. 10,000 immortal meridians. It doesn't seem to be able to buy anything. If the auction really has some materials up for auction, I have to bid for them. However, before that, I need to get some immortal meridians to fill my pockets. Murong Yu threw the storage rings into the Hichu Luoshu and asked, "How many immortal meridians are needed for these materials?" "Not much, just 100 first-grade immortal meridians." 100 first-grade immortal meridians? And not a lot at that? Murong Yu frowned. Ordinary materials aren't that valuable. Only things like the 3-star stone are more expensive. Dong Yuan hurriedly explained. "You're not cheating me?" Murong Yu looked at Dong Yuan and smiled. "Mr. Murong, you must be joking. Our Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce will never cheat our customers. However, Mr. Murong, your transaction this time is considered large. In addition to the trouble caused by our staff, I'll make this decision. I'll make the decision. This time, we'll trade with 91 grade immortal meridians. Together with the deposit from before, you only need to pay 89 immortal meridians. At least you know your place." Murong Yu wanted to talk to Dong Yuan about this, but he didn't expect this fella to speak first. This fellow was indeed the manager of the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce. His methods of doing business were not bad. Although Murong Yu knew that there was a large amount of money involved, the real price was definitely not worth it. However, Murong Yu couldn't be bothered to talk nonsense with him. After handing over the immortal meridians, he left the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce. After leaving the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce, Murong Yu felt that the number of people watching him had increased. Murong Yu only laughed coldly at this. "How can I get a large number of immortal meridians quickly?" Murong Yu frowned slightly. Even the southern mountains didn't have many immortal meridians. In the immortal world, it was difficult to find more immortal meridians. However, there would definitely be some in some dangerous and forbidden lands. However, with Murong Yu's strength, it would be a problem if he could get out of those dangerous and forbidden lands. Large sects and experts would definitely have a large number of immortal meridians. However, with my strength, I wouldn't be able to snatch them. Then, the only way now is pills. Murong Yu now had over 10,000 immortal meridians. He could refine large amounts of pills. As long as he refined some precious pills, he could use them to exchange for immortal meridians. Murong Yu didn't care about the people watching and following him. He found an inn to stay in. Then, he entered the Hichu Luoshu world. What kind of pill should I refine? It must have heaven-defying effects. Moreover, it's basically priceless in the immortal world. Murong Yu found Hichu and asked directly. "Nirvana pill," Hichu said directly. "Nirvana pill? It has the effect of a phoenix's nirvana?" Murong Yu was shocked. Chapter 453. Legend has it that the Phoenix clan has a heaven-defying ability. Nirvana rebirth. The so-called Phoenix Nirvana. Nirvana rebirth, as the name suggests, is rebirth. In other words, the Phoenix can be reborn even after being killed. In other words, the Phoenix clan has 2 lives. Of course, this kind of rebirth is not unconditional. For example, when the Phoenix clan reaches the end of their lifespan, they cannot be reborn through Nirvana. The Phoenix clan can be reborn, they have 2 lives to be reborn, but there are many conditions and restrictions. However, even so, it was still enough to make others envious and jealous. Nirvana pill, if this pill is really like the Phoenix Nirvana rebirth, even if there is only 1 pill, it will definitely be expensive. If Murong Yu can sell this Nirvana pill, then he will immediately be promoted to become a rich man in the immortal world. "You are too naive." Looking at the shocked Murong Yu, Hichu sneered. If there is such a pill, your teacher Zhao Yun will not be killed. Murong Yu is somewhat depressed. Nirvana pill, although it does not have the effect of nirvana rebirth, it can change a person's physique, turning a waste into a genius. Hichu slowly said. Change physique? Turn a waste into a genius? Murong Yu is shocked. Although this pill does not have the same effect as the Phoenix Nirvana rebirth, but changing physique is absolutely heaven-defying. Just think about it, if a sect were to obtain a large number of Nirvana pills and improve the physique of their disciples, all of them would become geniuses. Then, in just a few years, the overall strength of these sects would become more and more powerful. In time, these sects will aspire to be first class in the immortal world. It is possible for them to become a superpower. Of course, the premise is that this sect has a large amount of Nirvana pills. However, although Nirvana pills exist, they have always been rare in the immortal world. Although they appear occasionally, there are only a small amount of Nirvana pills, they can only improve a few. If Murong Yu has a large amount of Nirvana pills to sell, if he uses them well, his wealth will increase greatly. Moreover, Nirvana pills are also very useful to Shenzhen's disciples. All this time, Murong Yu had been using pills to directly increase the strength of Shenzhen's disciples. Although there weren't any side effects, it wasn't good for their cultivation either. If he had a large number of Nirvana Dawn, Murong Yu could improve their physique and turn them all into geniuses. With a sect formed by geniuses and the support of various immortal expansion pills, Shenzhen's strength was just around the corner. Can you refine the Nirvana pill now? Murong Yu's eyes lit up as he looked at Hichu. Sure. Hichu nodded. For an old antique like Hichu, there were countless cultivation methods, pill recipes, and all sorts of other things in his memories. Coupled with the heaven-defying yin-yang cauldron, Murong Yu only needed enough immortal veins to refine large amounts of pills. Since that's the case, let's hurry up and refine the Nirvana pill. And it's best if we can refine a large amount of them within 3 months. Murong Yu said. 3 months later, the World Auction House would hold a large-scale auction. At that time, there might be yuan meteor stones and other rare materials to be auctioned. Murong Yu must obtain those rare materials to build the transmission array. Therefore, he needed a large amount of financial support. Hichu nodded and began to refine the Nirvana pill. Murong Yu didn't leave Hichu Luoshu. Instead, he cultivated in Hichu Luoshu. Black Tortoise Scripture. Before this, Murong Yu only had Dragon Elephant Prajna Art, Tiger Roar Imperial Fist, Great Vajrachakra Seal, Lion Seal, and a few other offensive combat skills. Combat skills valued quality over quantity. Murong Yu had always thought so. But now, he gradually felt that his combat skills weren't enough. Just like when he was fighting Su Liang, his combat skills couldn't do anything to Su Liang. Moreover, if he used the same move too many times, he would be at a disadvantage when fighting with the same person. After all, if he used the same move repeatedly, even a fool would be able to see the weakness of the move. Therefore, Hichu taught Murong Yu a set of combat skills. It was the Black Tortoise Scripture that he was cultivating now. The Black Tortoise Scripture was an extremely powerful cultivation technique. It didn't only contain one set of cultivation techniques, but there were as many as 10 sets. Saber, spear, sword, halberd, staff, fist, palm, leg, finger, claw. 10 sets of cultivation techniques. Other than that, there were 2 ultimate moves. They were the defensive move, Invincible 10 Directions, and the killing move, Omnidirectional Kill. One set of cultivation techniques contained 10 sets of cultivation techniques. Moreover, each set of cultivation techniques could be considered as a top-notch combat skill. If Murong Yu cultivated the Black Tortoise Scripture, he probably wouldn't need to cultivate any other cultivation techniques for a long time. At least, these combat skills were enough in the immortal world. 10 sets of cultivation techniques. Murong Yu couldn't cultivate them all in a short period of time. After pondering for a while, Morong Yu finally decided to cultivate the spear art and the two ultimate moves: Invincible 10 Directions and Omnidirectional Kill. After all, Morong Yu had always used a spear as his weapon. Of course, he also used a bow and a sword. But in the end, Morong Yu's favorite weapon was still the spear. The spear art was called Ask the Heavens Spear Art. There were only two moves: Ask the Heavens in anger, and Ask the Heavens in return. Silently deducing the Ask the Heavens spear art in his mind, Morong Yu grabbed the phoenix spear and began to cultivate. Time flowed by, and in a flash 2 months had passed. It was already close to 3 months. Within these 3 months, Morong Yu had been cultivating, and Hichu Luoshu had been refining nirvana pills. However, what made Morong Yu feel strange was that in the inn, no one came to find trouble with him. In fact, what Morong Yu didn't know was that the inn he was staying in was under the protection of Ling Nan City. Even the people from the Immortal Palace and the Heavenly Punishing Palace didn't dare to forcibly break into Morong Yu's room. Therefore, in this period of time, those who were following Morong Yu could only lurk outside the inn. Hichu Luoshu. Ask the Heavens in anger. Morong Yu flapped his illusory wings, and his figure turned into a ray of light in the void. Billions of spear lights were constantly pierced by him, and the void of the Hichu Luoshu world was shattered. In the end, Morong Yu's figure finally came to a stop after his spear pierced through the sky with a loud roar. With my own perception, after more than 2 months, I only managed to comprehend the first move of the Ask the Heavens spear art, Ask the Heavens in anger. I only managed to reach the entry stage. Morong Yu sighed, somewhat regretful. Although he didn't manage to comprehend the second move, Morong Yu was still very happy. The stronger the cultivation technique, the harder it was to cultivate. The harder it was to master, the more it was not simple. Of course, in addition to cultivating the spear art, Morong Yu also cultivated the two ultimate moves of the Black Tortoise scripture: Unparalleled 10 Directions and Unparalleled 10 Directions. Fortunately, although these two ultimate moves were called ultimate moves, they were easy to comprehend. At this time, Morong Yu had also cultivated these two ultimate moves to the entry stage. As for how powerful they were, it would require a big battle to know. At this time, Hichu had already refined a large amount of nirvana pills. If Morong Yu took out these pills to sell, he would definitely become a tycoon in the immortal world. Of course, Morong Yu wasn't that stupid. The auction is about to start, it's time to go find Dong Yuan. Morong Yu walked out of the Hichu Luoshu, left the inn, and walked towards the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce. The kid finally came out. The people who had been watching the inn for 2 months couldn't help but exhale when they saw Morong Yu finally come out. They were furious. At this time, they wanted nothing more than to rush up and beat Morong Yu up to calm their anger. However, they didn't dare to expose themselves. They could only spread the news of Morong Yu's appearance. However, what they didn't know was that even though they thought they were being very secretive, Morong Yu had seen everything. After arriving at the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce, Morong Yu found Dong Yuan without any difficulty. After all, almost everyone in the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce knew who Morong Yu was after the intentional disturbance incident. They all knew that Morong Yu was a big customer. "Mr. Dong Yuan, I have a big deal for you. Are you interested?" Morong Yu went straight to the point. Dong Yuan naturally knew Morong Yu's identity. Moreover, from the fact that Morong Yu had bought the ingredients, he knew that Morong Yu's wealth wasn't weak. Since he said so, it must be a big deal. Therefore, when Morong Yu asked this question, Dong Yuan immediately asked with interest, "Mr. Morong, what do you want?" "Pills." Morong Yu smiled. "Pills?" Dong Yuan hesitated. "Our Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce's strength lies in our ingredient. Some rare pills are almost monopolized by the Heaven and Earth Chamber of Commerce. The Heaven and Earth Chamber of Commerce was one of the top 10 chambers of commerce in the immortal world. Nirvana pills. Before Dong Yuan could finish, Murong Yu interrupted. Nirvana pills? Mr. Murong, you have nirvana pills again? Dong Yuan looked at Murong Yu in shock, then shook his head. Nirvana pills are extremely rare. Even the Heaven and Earth Chamber of Commerce rarely sells them. If Mr. Murong has nirvana pills, you can sell them for a good price. Dong Yuan thought that Murong Yu only had a few nirvana pills, so the shock on his face faded. Murong Yu smiled. What if I have a large number of nirvana pills? Can the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce handle it? A large number of nirvana pills. The shock on Dong Yuan's face resurfaced. This time, it was even stronger than before. You really have a large number of nirvana pills? At this moment, the only thought in Dong Yuan's mind was that if Murong Yu really did have a large number of nirvana pills, perhaps the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce could use this opportunity to severely suppress the Heaven and Earth Chamber of Commerce. After all, the chambers of commerce were competitors. If possible, they would be more than happy to attack each other. Chapter 454. Mr. Murong, do you really have a large amount of nirvana pills? And you're willing to work with us? Dong Yuan suppressed his excitement and forced himself to calm down. He looked at Murong Yu and asked. As the manager of the Southern Ridge branch, Dong Yuan knew when to be excited and when not to be. Even if Murong Yu really did have a large amount of nirvana pills, he should not be too excited. After all, before the conditions were settled, it could all be for naught. Next, Dong Yuan had to confirm the authenticity of this matter and negotiate with Murong Yu. I don't know if the Pinnacle Trade Union can handle a large amount of nirvana pills, Murong Yu said calmly. Haha, Mr. Murong, you underestimate the Pinnacle Trade Union. As one of the top 10 trade unions in the immortal realm, the Pinnacle Trade Union is definitely powerful. Although nirvana pills are extremely rare and expensive, we can definitely work with you and give you the highest price. This is also the reason why I want to work with the Pinnacle Trade Union. I think you can definitely give me the highest price. Murong Yu glanced at Dong Yuan and continued, How do you want to work with me? How many nirvana pills do you need? Dong Yuan was shocked. Didn't Murong Yu's words mean that he really did have a large amount of nirvana pills? Murong Yu could provide as many as he wanted? Dong Yuan thought to himself in shock. Then, he asked tentatively, 100,000 pills? Murong Yu frowned. 100,000 pills? Too many? Dong Yuan was disappointed when he saw Murong Yu's expression, but he also heaved a sigh of relief. After all, it would be shocking if Murong Yu had that many nirvana pills. The Pinnacle Trade Union is one of the top 10 trade unions in the immortal realm. Could it only handle 100,000 nirvana pills? If that's the case, I might as well work with other trade unions. Dong Yuan's body shook as he looked at Murong Yu in disbelief. How could 100,000 nirvana pills be too little? He was not frowning because he did not have 100,000 nirvana pills, but because he had more than 100,000 nirvana pills. Where did this guy come from? Could it be that he had robbed an ancient immortal mansion? Dong Yuan was shocked. Mr. Murong, how many nirvana pills do you want to sell for this cooperation? 1 million. Plop. It was Dong Yuan who fell off the chair. He was so shocked that he fell down. Dong Yuan hastily stood up from the ground and looked at Murong Yu in shock. Mr. Murong, you're not joking with me, are you? Murong Yu sneered and threw a bottle of 100 nirvana pills to Dong Yuan. Dong Yuan took it and immediately poured out a pill to check. It really is a nirvana pill, and it's even rounder and better quality than the average nirvana pill. Although nirvana pills were rare and expensive, Dong Yuan had seen them before. With a single glance, he immediately knew that Murong Yu's nirvana pills were genuine. Furthermore, the quality was much better than anything he'd ever seen before. Dong Yuan returned the bottle of nirvana pills to Murong Yu and said with a solemn expression, 1 million nirvana pills. I hope to discuss this with the upper echelons of the Chamber of Commerce first. I will strive for the highest price for you. Seeing Murong Yu nod, Dong Yuan quickly left the room. He should have gone to discuss with the higher-ups of the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce. Murong Yu was sitting there, and he was not afraid of Dong Yuan. He still trusted the reputation of the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce. He would naturally kill and rob. After all, Dong Yuan was only a supervisor in the Lingnan region. He could not make the decision for 1 million nirvana pills. 1 million nirvana pills could change the physique of 1 million people, turning 1 million people from trash to geniuses. If it was eaten by a big sect, then that sect would become even more powerful. If the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce ate this batch of nirvana pills and used it well, they would make a fortune or increase the power of their Chamber of Commerce. Murong Yu had thought deeply about the decision to cooperate with the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce and the amount of nirvana pills to sell. After all, the Heaven Realm was so big and there were countless immortals and superpowers. Although 1 million nirvana pills seemed like a large amount, it was not much when spread out. Even if the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce ate all these nirvana pills, Murong Yu would not be worried. After all, he only needed enough resources and his disciples would catch up with him, Shengzhen. Now, everything was in the development stage and Murong Yu needed resources. Not long after, Dong Yuan hurried back with a smile. Mr. Murong Yu, our Chamber of Commerce has decided to cooperate with you and eat all of these nirvana pills. Murong Yu nodded. It would be strange if the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce did not cooperate. As for the price, Dong Yuan muttered to himself. In the immortal world, nirvana pills were occasionally sold and auctioned. Because 1 nirvana pill could change a person's physique, the price of nirvana pills was very high. Murong Yu looked at Dong Yuan indifferently and did not say anything. He wanted to see how much the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce would pay him. Nirvana pills have a price but no market. Sometimes, they are around 100 first-grade immortal meridians. 1 nirvana pill was worth 100 first-grade immortal meridians. This price was extremely high. It was much higher than ordinary immortal weapons. However, nirvana pills could turn a trash into a genius. Just this alone would definitely be worth more than this. After all, using 10 first-grade immortal meridians to buy a genius was definitely a huge profit. However, even if a person became a genius after taking the nirvana pill, he would not be a genius. If one wanted to nurture him, they would need to spend a lot of resources and take all kinds of risks. All in all, 100 immortal meridians for 1 nirvana pill was a reasonable price. Seeing that Murong Yu did not say anything, Dong Yuan knew that the price he offered was within the range that Murong Yu could accept. Hence, he continued, 1 million nirvana pills. The total price is 100 million first-grade immortal meridians. Murong Yu nodded. His acceptance range was also around 100 million. However, because of Mr. Murong's cooperation and the large amount of nirvana pills, the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce will give you an additional 10 million first-grade immortal meridians. We hope that Mr. Murong will continue to work with the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce in the future. 10 million first-grade immortal meridians? Hearing that, Murong Yu looked at Dong Yuan in astonishment. He did not expect the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce to be so generous. Yes, 10 million first-grade immortal meridians. We hope that Mr. Murong will continue to work with the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce in the future. We will give you the most benefits. Dong Yuan smiled. After seeing Murong Yu's reaction, he knew that he had established a special relationship with Murong Yu and the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce. If there were no accidents, Murong Yu would only work with the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce in the future. 10 million first-grade immortal meridians was definitely a huge amount of wealth. However, the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce was only the tip of the iceberg. It was not worth mentioning. 10 million was definitely worth it to improve the relationship between Murong Yu and Murong Yu. Moreover, after the Pinnacle Chamber of Commerce received 1 million nirvana pills, the benefits would definitely be more than 10 million first-grade immortal meridians. As long as they used it well, they could use it to suppress the other large chambers of commerce. Even if they could not make the pinnacle chamber of commerce the largest chamber of commerce in the immortal realm, it would definitely create a lot of wealth for the pinnacle chamber of commerce. Murong Yu was also an astute person, so he was able to quickly think of all these possibilities. However, none of these had anything to do with him, right? I look forward to working with you. Murong Yu smiled and shook Dong Yuan's hand. This meant that the deal was a success. In that case, let's find a time to do the deal, Dong Yuan said with a smile. No need, we can do the deal now. As he spoke, Murong Yu threw a storage ring to Dong Yuan. Dong Yuan was a little scared when he saw Murong Yu hand over 1,000,000 nirvana pills to him without batting an eyelid. After all, this was something worth 100 million first-grade immortal meridians. Once it was discovered, even an immortal emperor would not be able to resist snatching it, right? Murong Yu, on the other hand, had brought all of these with him. Did he not know the value and rarity of these nirvana pills, or was he confident? It was obvious that Murong Yu knew the value of these nirvana pills, but he was confident. At the same time, Dong Yuan was even more curious about Murong Yu's identity. It was impossible for an ordinary enforcer of the Heavenly Punisher Palace to have so many nirvana pills. In that case, Murong Yu's true identity was a little curious. However, Dong Yuan was only curious. He did not have the intention to investigate thoroughly. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. Dong Yuan immediately checked. After confirming that there were no mistakes, he handed over 110 million first-grade immortal meridians to Murong Yu. Now, I should be considered a tycoon, right? Murong Yu chuckled in his heart. He looked like a nouveau riche. In that case, I shall not disturb you any further. Seeing Dong Yuan's anxious expression, Murong Yu was about to leave. Mr. Murong, please wait a moment. Dong Yuan hurriedly called out to Murong Yu. Under Murong Yu's confused gaze, Dong Yuan continued, Mister, are you still staying in the inn? Recently, some people have been eyeing you with ill intentions. If you don't mind, our pinnacle chamber of commerce happens to have an empty manor. If you are willing, why don't you move to the manor and stay there for a few days? That would be great. Murong Yu thought about it and agreed. After all, there were too many people eyeing him now. Murong Yu did not want any accidents to happen. At the very least, he did not want anything to happen before the auction started. On the day of the auction, I will send someone to inform you. Dong Yuan instructed a worker to bring Murong Yu away. Then, he hurriedly left. He must be impatient because of the nirvana pills. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.